October. Also on the committee, we have two more members that are coming, but we have Dr. Shirley Smith, Erica Olson, Brian Pape, Bob Ely, and Katie Barnaro, who is here briefly this evening. So the way this works is, we will call up the applicants. We'll be taking applications out of order. We have agendas up here. The applicants will come someplace. Eva, where are the applicants going to present their application? Where's the microphone for that?
Over there, so we can understand.
Okay, so here. Why don't we, so we'll put this down in the corner there with the stand, and so the app, yeah.
Yeah.
And so come up,
The stand.
grab the microphone, present your application, and, no, yeah, just put it down on the corner over here, yeah. I don't, no, it's not the closest. Or maybe, you know what? Why don't you just put it back where you're gonna put it up there? They can stand at the podium, though they're, so everybody's supposed to be addressing the committee, not, so. Applicants address the committee, public address the committee, once the applicants present their application, the committee will then, ask questions. Once the committee is done, we will go to the public. If you are here to speak on an application, please make sure you've filled out a speaker card. If you have not filled out a speaker card, you wish to spontaneously speak, you're welcome to. I just ask that you come up to speak, raise your hand or something, and then fill out a card afterwards. So we have that. I'm going to ask that everybody speak respectfully. And once we're done with the public, we will go back, let the applicants address anything that was raised, the committee can follow up, and that's it. And there will be no back and forth. Once you come up to speak, the public generally speaking, that's it. You have the one opportunity to speak, and that's it. And then we'll just go through the applications. That way, when we're all done, we will go into business session, at which time, unless we need some information from someone, the public is not welcome to join in on that, but you're welcome to stay and listen. So, and I think that covers it. Yes. Okay. So the first application is going to be New York Water Tours, doing business as Oasis and doing business as Enchanted. We'll hear them both together. Come on up. So applicants are going over here, and let's see, who needs a, some people may want one. Yeah. And is anything any different than what was?
Nope, it's exactly.
Okay, great.
Yes, there's.
I'm fine. Thank you.
What's that?
Okay, you can go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is.
Just make sure you speak into that microphone. I'm sorry if you have to hold it up. You might have to. The blue.
Oh. Test. My name is Asim Castalino, president of New York Water Tours Inc. We operate out of Pier 40 in the Hudson River Park. We've been operating vessels there since beginning of May 2024, so almost 6 months at this point. And we've been operating vessels in New York Harbor for just over a decade. We started in April 2014. We operate primarily sightseeing services, but we also operate brunches and dinner services. We do not operate booze cruises, so I just want to make this very clear. And we have an application in for two of the vessels that currently operate out of Pier 40, Oasis and Enchanted, and it is for a beer and wine license only. So that's, again, we've been in the community since about beginning of May of this year. We we believe we try to be a good community member, a good neighbor. And we really try to fit with everything else that's going on there and do the best we can to run a safe and good operation.
Okay, so I think, I wish Max was here, so I think he filed the application on one of them already,
On both of them.
on both of them
Yes.
already, so I'll separately speak to Max about that. Okay, so it's, you have DJs and live music,
We sometimes have DJs, primarily we don't have DJs, but sometimes, so what we do at times is we run these charters. So if someone wants to like charter the vessel for private party, like normally corporate, Monday Friday corporate event, they can do that. And sometimes they may request a live DJ, but primarily that's not the case. But
Okay.
it does occasionally happen.
okay, and so, and your hours are until,
Until everybody's back before midnight. So the boat is back at the pier, and everybody's like has disembarked and gone out of the pier by midnight.
okay, so it says 10 PM on the application, so that's not accurate.
Well, when I say up until midnight, that's what our agreement with the parties.
Okay,
Yeah, right. So, but we don't even run out after 10 PM, right?
so in terms of this application,
10 PM.
10 PM,
Yes.
you're not, everybody's off the
Right.
boat by 10
Yeah.
PM, that's good?
Yes.
Okay, no, I just want, I don't want to, if you need 11, I don't,
Well,
you know, I just want
Yeah.
it to be what it is, so you're docked and everyone is off by 10,
yes.
okay. And then, let's see, the one boat, so the Oasis has, I think, 149 passengers.
149 passenger capacity. The seating capacity is about 85.
Okay,
So we rarely run with more than 85 passengers.
okay, and then what is it for we might as well just do both of them.
Yeah,
Sort of
sure.
together because it's the same thing.
They're very similar vessels. They're almost identical. Enchanted is a bit smaller than Oasis. It is also 149 passenger capacity, but the seating capacity is a bit less, like maybe like 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's typically what you do?
Yes.
Plus crew, okay.
Absolutely, yes.
And then, what we had asked, we'll give you a stipulation agreement that Max sort of go through. And one of the stipulations that we had previously was when docked and or during embarking or disembarking of passengers from Pier 40 will play quiet ambient recorded background music only, inclusive of any private parties or events. So there's no DJs, loud music when you're at the dock.
Yeah, our policy for these two boats and for all the other boats that depart out of Pier 40 is not to play music until the vessel is a certain number of feet away from the pier.
And
Right,
what
so-
is that like, what we used to have was half a nautical mile, is that?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. And then we'll have a contact, you'll give us a contact
Sure.
name so that if there's any issue,
but I just want to say that we already, because just before we got the contract with the park, we were before this community board and we
mhm,
provided our contact.
mhm.
We never were in contact with anybody, but
Right.
which is a good thing.
So far, so good.
But yeah, we will provide again the contact. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it for my questions. I know Katie here lives nearby and is on the committee, so she's here specifically to raise her.
Yes, I just will explain to everyone that I'm going to leave after this because I don't like this room for health reasons, but it shows how important this is that I appeared tonight in person. Because, and I have an email from Daniel Miller, who was many years on the board, and he lives at Morton and West on the south side, and I live at Morton and West on the north side. And if your boats are playing music, we hear them in our houses. I haven't heard music from you, but this has been a problem in the past. I would appreciate getting your business card. I had the other business cards and I'll get it before I leave tonight, but cannot underscore enough how noisy it can be in the neighborhood if the boats are uh, playing loud music when they turn in, when they make the turn into the pier. So you really cannot play, the DJ has to stop when you're in the middle of the river, and when you turn in, that, has to be, that's when it has to be off, because otherwise we do hear it. Now, I understand that you explained you're gonna have a private party business. Can you tell us, we often talk to people about a certain number of times a month for private parties, or, we ask you what your private party business plan is. Are you willing to stipulate to 2 times a month or 3 times a month? How many private charters do you anticipate in a year?
Well, I just want to just understand a little bit here what the concern is. As I said, we do not do booze cruises, right? There was a previous operator there that ran booze cruises out of there as a private party, or however they wanted to call it. We are not in that business. We don't do that. Okay, so that's very important to understand that.
Yes, no, I appreciate that, because that was a big problem. We had an enormous day with one of those booze cruises, with ambulances had to come, with drunken people. The police were called. It can be really overwhelming. So I'm glad you're not doing that. But I want, like a wedding party that gets going, and, people are happy, and I understand that. But if they play loud music at the dock, it disturbs the entire neighborhood. So it'd be good to know how many times a year you expect to get a charter.
Isn't that part of your business though? I think this is, it's gonna be every day.
Every day, it's gonna be
I mean, he may not do that, but that's the business.
Yeah, we don't know how many
Okay.
times how many times a day or a month it happens.
But you
But-
have the same policy about music. We won't
Yeah.
play to the dock.
We do not play at the dock. We do not play until the boat is certain distance away from the dock.
Okay.
So I think we really understood this kind of concern of the community even before we moved to Pier 40, and I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, you haven't heard from us, so we've been there for like 5 months already, and we are having a good policy, internal policy about that, and we stick to our policy, and I think we're doing a pretty good job not to disturb anybody so far.
Good.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I've been known to come out at 1 a.m. and complain because I've been waking up.
I won't be there, he'll be gone by.
Being sure. Okay, well, as I say, Daniel Miller also sent an email. And you got it at 4:28, but to the community, to the board, it's right there. So that's another, some more testimony, similar to what I've already said. I'll wait until we're done, but do you have your card now?
I don't have it to me.
I can provide.
We'll provide it.
Okay, let me just read Dan's letter. He's unable to attend as a resident who's lived across the street from this public area since 2003, and having served on CB2 for the past decade, I am deeply concerned about the potential for disruption caused by this license. I have also been president of the local Little League that trains and plays at Pier 40 and chair of the Hudson River Park Advisory Council, advising the Hudson River Park Trust as a public advocate, so I'm quite familiar with the dynamics of this space and its importance to the community. Pier 40 is a heavily populated area where noise carries easily due to the combination of water and open space. Hudson River Park is a place where people seek peace and quiet, and loud music, especially when mixed with alcohol, is disruptive to the park experience. In the past, tenants have violated stipulations often due to the presence of loud music when boats are docked at the pier. Lyrics from music played on entertainment boats docked at Pier 40 are crystal clear to people in the peaceful passive open space pier to the north, south of Christopher Street Pier. This level of disturbance negatively affects the quality of life for residents and park goers alike. Making matters worse is that sound bounces off the north facade of Pier 40 and projects northward. So as someone who has observed these disturbances firsthand, I urge that any future licenses come with strict stipulations to prevent recurrent issues and to ensure the integrity of this cherished public space is maintained. So that's just a second of what she's saying, just to make sure. Does anybody else from the committee have anything? Okay, is there anybody, I don't think I have a sign-in sheet. Is there anybody here from the public to speak on this? Okay. Katie, do you have anything else, or are you good? You're gonna get the information. Yep. Okay, I think we'll get you the stipulation and just, she'll have your contact information. So I think the biggest complaint we had was all the booze cruises and the loud music and everything. So, I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, some time ago. So far, so good. She's happy now. She wants to stay happy.
Great.
Okay, great. Thanks
Well,
a
thank you
lot.
very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next application we are going to hear is, one Jane, doing this as Cinico, at one Jane. It's the same as what we. No, I think. Let me just say one thing, if anybody came in late, anybody who came in late, please make sure you've signed in. And if you are here from the public and wish to speak on an application, I have speaker cards up here. Make sure you filled one out and hand it to me. And if you feel compelled to speak and you didn't fill out a speaker card, you can just raise your hand when I ask and you can speak and then fill out a speaker card. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I represent the owner of the company One Jane LLC, which is DBA Cinico. We are looking to open a Italian wine bar. We have redacted our previous application. That's why we are also here. Wine bar and a bistro, which is going to be serving food here on the corner of 1 Jane Street and Greenwich Avenue. We are currently in possession of another location on 35th and Madison in the city, which has been open and running properly for more than a year now. And for the committee to request this, your motion to for approval for the wine and beer, and that's only what we're requesting.
Okay, so why don't we run through the hours and
Absolutely. So after positive discussion with the James Block Association, we have found what I feel like is a good compromise on the schedules. We will be doing from Monday to Wednesday from 4 to 10. On Thursdays, Thursdays included 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, we would like to go up until midnight as discussed with them via email and also in person. We will not be doing any live music. We will not be doing any events. We will not be doing any DJ, only recorded background music. And we also have removed our request for roadway cafes. We will not be doing outdoor seating, only indoor seating and only on reservations on the tables, and leaving the stools, which are approximately 7 or 8, depends on how the build out actually finishes, are going to be up for, let's say, up for grabs in this case. We will not be doing any loud music, and we will not be promoting events in any way other than word of mouth and, of course, the neighborhood.
so this is what, 6 tables and 16 seats? Is that?
I think the total is going to be 24. Again, we're still like seeing a little bit the specs just to make sure that the walls, the partitions that we create are exactly that, because it's always a surprise when you do build outs in the city, but it's going to be 22, maximum 24 seats. Total, stools included.
With the bar?
Yes, that is correct.
Oh.
Yes, it is.
And no TVs.
No TVs, none of that.
So I think my biggest question still is your place on Madison has more of a daytime, it closes earlier,
That is correct.
and you don't have a full kitchen here.
And we don't have a full kitchen either.
But that's more of a daytime thing. This is straight now, you don't have any, you're not opening for lunch, you're not opening for breakfast.
So we are
Evening.
planning eventually to be doing brunches on weekends, so
Okay.
opening daytime, because we have confronted ourselves with also some residents of this neighborhood, and they have told us that they feel like there is a lack of brunch places for the daytime, especially Italian brunch places. So we are working on that. I cannot promise that because, of course, it depends on how we're able to develop the model and also the response from the feedback from the neighborhood. But the same, as you can see, the menu that I have, of course, attached to all those files, That is the menu that we have currently over there, which as you can see,
So that's your menu up now.
that is correct. That is the actual copy of the menu that we are serving currently now,
Mhm.
food wise over there. As you can see, there's plates that are real dishes such as lasagna, such as focaccia. We're going to meet. We also have salmon, a few other things that we are able to do without a full kitchen.
So
Because
that, and then what we went through last time, that will be prepared up at the other location.
that is
and then-
correct. And most things luckily can be done with an oven, which does not need any venting or any gas whatsoever. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we do it there or here. We have the option of doing both things without changing our scope or our way we portray ourselves to our customers. We do have a prep area expected in the plans, but it's just a prep area. It's not a real
It's a
kitchen.
real small, yeah.
Yes,
'cause it's a
but
small
luckily,
space.
yes, luckily, if
So
you know what you're doing, you know,
if
you do that.
the other, you depend on putting this together though, as we said before, at the other location and then bringing it.
It's not a must. It's just, that is an auxiliary location that is ours, of course, that we can use to do both things, but it is not all, we do not depend solely on that. That's just an extra boost, depending, of course, on the amount of business that we drive, and depending, of course, on whether we decide to go east or west in adding some more food items or not. If we were to keep that exact same menu, we could do it in both places without any issues, without bothering anybody and without changing anything.
Okay, and there's no basement with this?
No.
No basement, so it's just the ground?
That is correct.
Okay,
Just to be clear, the other location has the same thing. We do have a basement,
well,
but
the
it's
other
only-
location is the larger though, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but the kitchen is actually, if I may be honest, smaller square footage wise to the prep area that we're creating here. We have sacrificed some seating to, first of all, to avoid any issues with a lot of people, a lot of crowd. But second of all, because a prep area as well here, with more or less, a little bit bigger actually, this one, and the one we have over there, will allow us to serve 24 people comfortably without any issues.
Okay, and then my next question is going to be, as much as I'm happy to hear that you're getting rid of the roadbed was from the correspondence I saw, was very important to your business line with the full on-premise license. So now you're not having a full on-premise license and you're cutting out the roadbed. So, the hours are shorter.
Yes, they
So
are
you're
just a few hours, but just
open for
enough
a few
to.
hours. So I'm trying to figure out how this will work
Of
for you.
course. I will be frank. Luckily, our business model can exist easily without the roadbed because less seats means less employees, means less stress, less money to be spent, and we have rerun our numbers and we can do it.
I think that's it for my questions. Committee, format.
Yes, hi. I was just attracted by one thing in your questionnaire where you said that exterior changes would not be approved by the LPC. Are you planning to make exterior changes?
Absolutely not. The only change that has already been approved by landmarks is the removal of the metal, I don't know how do you call it, the gate that comes down.
Or the roll
Because,
down,
yes,
yeah.
we checked it out. It's not fixed to the building. It's just attached on the side. No damage.
Yeah, and it's
no
ugly.
Yeah.
But so if you do though make any other changes, you'll make sure it's properly.
Absolutely. If there's one thing that we are keen on is doing everything by the book. That is also why the first time I was in front of you as a committee, I was clear. This is not, our intention is not to come in contrast with you or not to find a middle ground. That is why we have done all these corrections to our application, because we believe in working together, not working against each other.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, I will go to the public. Kate, Austin? Yep.
Hi, Kate Bostock from Jane Street Block Association. So in terms of outreach, the applicants have done no more community outreach. I don't believe that they've contacted anybody at One Jane who lives in the building would be most impacted. Through CB2's help, I have an email from a resident at One Jane who's the proxy for other tenants in the building, and they're concerned about any noise, and they write, one can actually hear the footsteps of passerbys in the evening because that is such a quiet corner. And there has never been, it's obviously, you know, an unlicensed space. So to have anybody in that space past 7, 8 p.m. affects the folks upstairs. And they have serious concerns about that. So I would request soundproofing as a contingency of the license, I emailed with the applicants today to talk about different hours and was told that that was not an option, that they were sticking with what they had in the application and it wasn't up for discussion. And I would note that with 24 seats, I'm still suspect the business will operate as described. It's hard to imagine with 24 seats open, you know, 6 hours, most of the days of the week, how that's possible. And to that end, I would ask that there are no private events allowed in the stipulations, because it seems that that space could easily become, you know, pop-ups, whatever kind of events that could take over that space. So while yeah, the block association and neighbors would prefer the space to remain unlicensed, and we're concerned about noise and what else might go on.
What hours were you?
Well, 8 p.m. is similar to what they're doing, you know, now at their original location. So closing at 8 p.m. most nights, maybe 10 p.m. on Friday, Saturday. I think for, you know, tenants with soundproofing, it doesn't seem unreasonable, but the midnight does get late on what is, as the resident said, and I know I can speak to personally, a block where you can hear the footsteps in the evening of people walking by. So it is not like Greenwich Avenue east of 7th Avenue. It's very quite different. So, yeah, thank you.
So anybody else here on that one? Okay. So
If I may add, just to address the block association's concerns, we will be doing soundproofing. You can put that in the stipulations. It's not an issue for us. Again, I like to reiterate, we have no intention on disturbing the peace, nor the quiet, nor the neighbors. Another thing that must be said is our entrance is on Greenwich. It's not on 1 Jane. The address is, and we also found out this with the architect, is improperly called 1 Jane, but it's actually, I think, 115 Greenwich, the official DOB, Department of Buildings address. Our entrance is on Greenwich and not on Jane, but this is not the main issue. The only thing is what we can guarantee, and we can also put this in the stipulations, we will not allow loitering outside of the cafe. We will make sure that everybody that's inside stays inside. Once they leave to leave. So at that point, they leave to go to their house, to somewhere else, but it's not part of what we are going to do.
no, but just when people, I mean, I know that area extremely well because I live right near there, and your entrance, you're correct, is on Greenwich, but if you're on the corner
That's true.
of Jane and it's very quiet, on both places, it's very quiet there because there's, you know, there's one restaurant across, it's quiet. And so people leaving, 20 people leaving, 18 people, 12 people, 3 people leaving after a few drinks at 12 o'clock at night is going to be a noise to people that have had nothing.
Understand. Okay.
And you can't, you know, once they're.
Of course, I cannot like obligate. I
So,
understand.
you know, gonna be people walking down Jane Street
Of course.
that.
So what I can say is unfortunately, and just to be clear and transparent, we had discussed a schedule together a few weeks ago, I don't know, maybe a month ago at this point, where if it looked like we had found an agreement, then unfortunately this afternoon, just I think 2 hours before or prior to this meeting, I was requested to keep the same schedules as the other one. Now, I'll be honest, we have run the numbers and contrary to whoever's belief, the numbers pan out and they check out. And if there's one thing that we know is how to do business, or else we wouldn't be in this beautiful city doing business for over a year now. So we cannot we can't do 8 p.m. We can't do 4 to 8.
I think what people, I'll just speak to it because I know,
Please do.
yeah, and I know the area and there's a ton of restaurants there. What people need is something more open during the daytime. So to add in another, but I think, and looking at your other establishment, it's open during the daytime and closes at 9 o'clock at
Yeah.
night.
And that's-
So that, I think, is what you heard from the community, is
Mhm.
more in line with what the community
And
feels.
that's also why we want to do weekends and
that they-
brunch. This is
But
that,
weekend brunch, I'm just gonna say, there's a ton of places that have weekend brunch. What the neighborhood does not have is someplace to go and eat on a regular basis
Mhm.
for lunches or an early dinner or something like that.
Yes, I understand.
And so that, I think, was probably what the Block Association was looking for. But did you reach out to them after, when you put in?
We have
the
started
30-day
emailing with a
notice?
few residents that we luckily know through our first cafe, which we have customers that come from the West Village. I have a few names, but I'm not gonna name names here. We have been emailing for the past week. We were
Do
meant to
they
have,
live near there?
yes, from what I know, one lives south of Jane. So on the other side of Jane Street, which is not exactly close to the
Okay, 'cause
place.
we didn't hear from any of them, so.
Yes, because we had just started creating a relationship and then we had this meeting and we didn't have enough time. Unfortunately, I do apologize for that, but we are also really busy. Luckily,
We're all
business is good. Yeah, of course, yeah, but I'm talking about ourselves in this case for reaching out. And we work tirelessly in the other cafe
No,
to
but you're
make
here
sure.
for a liquor license.
Of course,
Yeah,
I
this community that you want to make your community, so.
I do agree with you on that, and I do apologize for not doing that. Of course, you deem the best way, which I agree
Well,
with
the
you.
people that live upstairs, reaching out to them, you know. 'cause those
What I
are the
would
ones
like
that
to
are gonna
say
be-
is, in the stipulations, we will definitely put soundproofing and
Have you looked into the soundproofing? What kind
yeah,
of
we have already
soundproofing?
spoken with the architect panels. We have
There's
done,
nothing in here about that, and that was brought up last time as well.
yes, it was, but the thing is that we're still working on probing the space a little bit, understanding where the exact walls are, because as you know, build out is a process. in this. So first we want to make sure what walls are what, and then we would step to the soundproofing. It is not a problem for us for you to put in the stipulations that soundproofing must be done. We have no issues with that. And also because we have fully agreed to do, first of all, no private events, no events whatsoever, just regular service, daily service.
So no private events, no private parties.
There is no need for that for us.
Does anybody else from the committee have anything? Okay, that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, hang on. I think the next one's going to be Christopher Street Hospitality.
Yeah, just. Bring up. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Levy here. I'm at Christopher Street Hospitality LLC. I have to be with my Cellar principal on the application. This application was first before this board, probably 4 months ago. This is a transfer pursuant to an asset sale,
Sure, yeah.
license that's been in place pre-1993. When we originally came before the board, there were some residents of the building that expressed some concerns about the operation that we didn't have a chance to speak to yet. We voluntarily withdraw the application in an effort to get together with those residents to hear some of the complaints and issues in the space from the prior operator so that we could address those issues. It's been a bit delayed because we didn't have access to the space immediately, but once we got access to the space and this transaction actually happened, we were able to get in, do a walkthrough, get some information. So I'd like to run through, if it's okay with the board, the actual items
of consequence from the residents of the building, and I will be addressing them.
Okay.
To the extent you want me to run through the nuts and bolts of the actual application itself, that again as well, but
Why don't we just start where you want to start, and then if we need to go back, we'll go back.
Sure. So there were a number of issues raised by people who lived in the building. Number one on the issues list was general noise issues. Playing music too loud in the space, speakers that couldn't be controlled, complete lack of soundproofing, open doors. So now that we've gotten a chance to take a look at the space and see what's in there, there's no soundproofing in space. So we will be doing soundproofing in the space to ensure that that is taken care of. In addition, there's a commercial space above this bar that is operating as a law office. We've also engaged in conversations with some folks there about potentially, if necessary, doing soundproofing in their space as well to ensure that we have that much more of a buffer before we get to the residential units above. Additionally, this will be background music. This will not be loud entertainment level music. This will not be DJs. This will not be live music. This will not be this kind of space. This will be background music. And there will be small speakers in the space, not huge speakers, but small speakers which can be controlled that will be limited to ensure that any kind of noise from music in the space does not get out. Another issue raised was the outside frontage of the space and how historically this space had people flowing in and out of the space regularly, smoking outside, smoke getting up into residential windows, talking outside, congregating outside. A lot of issues with, I believe, a place across the street and people kind of like blocking the street in that respect. Even though this was not part of the original plan necessarily, they've agreed to have security out front. Security will prevent people from congregating in front of the residential entrance. They will prevent people from smoking in front of the residential space. They will keep people moving along. There will be no lines. There will be no stanchions. There will be no congregating outside. They will keep people moving along. And that is not only going to relate to the patrons coming in and out in a fashion, but it's also going to relate to the cars. To the extent there are taxis or there are Ubers, anything like that, we're going to be pushing people up the street to the corner. We are not going to allow for idling out front. We are not going to allow for people hanging out front, waiting for their car, things like that, to the extent we can. Obviously, it's an imperfect science, but to the extent we can control that stuff. They'll be hiring a professional security guard company that routinely represents restaurants, bars, hotels in New York City. These are not, guys with windbreakers. These are guys in suits that are professional and take this very seriously and have experience doing it. One of the biggest issues that was raised was the pest control and rat issue. There apparently was a huge rat and pest control issue in the space. A lot of it stemming from a non-sanitary basement. Now that we're in the space, we see that issue pretty significantly. They've already had pest control in there, and there will be weekly treatments for as long as it takes for this issue to be remedied. And then there will be regular visits from pest control. There'll be a regular schedule on a moving forward basis to ensure that this issue does not rise again. As I mentioned, a lot of the pest control and rat issues actually derive from the basement here, which is another issue. It was not maintained well. It was not kept sanitary and safe. It was actually quite disgusting. Now that they're in the space, they ripped pretty much everything out. They found mold in addition to the disgusting food and broken pipes and who knows what else they had down there. They are undertaking to do a lot of that work now. They've done their mold remediation. It's being actively treated, and they're doing it in a professional way to ensure the safety of their staff, their patrons, and the people in the building. Next, as it relates to the basement as well, there's an issue with the door in the rear of the establishment. Some of the residents, the building indicated that there was a door leading from the back of the establishment into the residential lobby, and that people had to go through that door to access the basement space. And on occasion, the prior operator would leave that door open, which led to patrons coming into the residential lobby, bringing their drinks in there, hanging out in there, doing all sorts of things.
Okay. So the door we're talking about is the door that's kind of across from the bar in the diagram that goes into, it's across from the bar. It says exit.
Yes, right.
It's like midway,
Yeah.
sort of. And then that goes into one area that then has a stairwell that goes down, or
Correct.
there's a door in front of it that goes into
That's-
where the elevator, the main
That's
entrance.
exactly what I was going
Okay.
to explain.
Okay.
So what I was going to explain was that there seemed to be some confusion with respect to how many doors there were in the back here. The understanding was that there's one door, and for us to access our basement, to have our staff access our basement, we have to go through the lobby to do that. It's actually not quite the case. There's two doors and there's a little vestibule area where trash is. So we actually have the ability to go in and out of the door in the rear of our space to access our basement door without going into the proper residential building. There is a door that's supposed to be for emergency egress only, another door with a panic bar on it. And there's a huge red sign on it that says you're not supposed to open that door. And to the extent that door needs to be reinforced, have the panic bar plugged into the fire alarm system, whatever it is, we're happy to do that. Because it's absolutely inappropriate.
So I went back and listened actually last night to our previous meetings.
Yeah.
And so where is the residential trash stored? It's not stored in that vestibule?
I'm not sure, but I can show you a video that we took where you kind of exit the space in this vestibule area where there's the door to get to our.
Right, it's like I see the little exit, it's like midway by the bar.
Yeah,
And then you go into that and then there's a stairway that goes down there and that's to your cellar.
correct.
That's the building.
To the basement. And I can show you a video if that's all.
So, right. Okay, so that's the building, so everybody can go in there to access that vestibule. I think that was, and then access that stairway to go to the cellar.
From,
No, everybody in the building is what I mean.
they may be able to get through that one. From our
Right.
side, there's a panic bar.
Right, you can't get to their elevator and their front door, but they can go from their front door if they need to access the cellar.
Correct, because the cellar has some building mechanics, some other building things as well. We have a portion of it.
Okay. Okay,
So it's obviously the door in the rear, we are going to make it so that it's obviously inappropriate for anyone from the bar space to be in the residential space.
Joseph, can you just come here?
Door in the rear.
The door in the middle, what you're calling the door in the rear, is it this?
Fine.
Well, here's the stairs.
I have, oh, here.
This is the entrance. And then this is the elevator. Right. So,
Because there should be.
so this is the area we're talking, like, I, from what I got last time, this is the area that seems to be the concern where the crossover happened.
Space, whenever they walk through, when you see it's like. It's a door that's big red sign on it, says emergency.
Excuse me, may I clarify?
No, you're gonna go to the public and you can clarify all this when you come up, please. Okay. All right. I mean, I wouldn't call it the back. But I see the door, but, okay,
The point is, there's not one door, there's two doors.
right.
And we are able to secure it so that people are not going into the building.
So that your patrons are not, okay. Are you, I don't have the bidding, okay,
Just,
yeah,
so can you just elaborate, because this may come up, it's a little confusion. You can cross over this public area to the basement without storage because of some of the changes in the recent regulations.
So two
Just
things.
this,
Yeah,
because that wasn't allowed when this place was operating, but now.
well, so I'll clarify. So you always could do that, but you had to file a separate warehouse license to do it. They've now eliminated that requirement for situations like this. So I wouldn't need to file an additional warehouse license for that to be a reality here. And the last thing I wanted to mention from the list was there was a conversation, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I just wanted to qualify in terms of that area, right? So I get that the door is sealed to the elevator and things. For residents to go down to the cellar though, do they have to come through that space behind the elevator?
They may.
They may.
They don't have to come through the restaurant or the bar to do that.
Right, but they, well,
and they're here, so I'm sure they're gonna address
no,
it.
They know better than I.
all right, thank you.
So the last item here is the French windows issue.
Yeah.
So I don't believe they're operable. They don't seem to be operable, and we are not looking to touch them at all. So if they're not operable, we will leave them not operable,
They are operable, you're gonna keep them closed at all times?
whatever you'd like us to do. It's a real non-factor, the operation, so.
Last time,
Yeah.
so if I just say closed at all times, and we don't change them, then that's.
Correct.
that. Okay, right.
Okay, thank you. As you look at. Okay, so just to clarify then. Your drawing is correct. There are not more stairs at the back. I see the elevator and the stairs and the residential entrance all at the front of the building,
Yeah, it's in, but yeah, I was saying look at the back.
certainly the front half. And there's no door from your premises to the backyard. Is that correct? It doesn't show any,
There's no outdoor space.
no outdoor space, but there's no door going out anyplace else.
Not that I'm- There are two doors. There's the one that goes into the residential space, and there's the front.
All right, well, and that clarifies what's on the plan.
Also, just to be super clear, there's no outdoor space here in any form.
Got no sidewalk, no roadbed, no backyard, no outdoor space, closed doors, closed windows. Okay. Then I just want to see, so you get the menu is the same as it was, you just don't open. Katie, who is not here, I'm just gonna say this for her, she wanted a better Cellar diagram, you did not. I'm just saying it for her, and then, when will the full menu stop being served, like?
There'll be food service at all hours that it's open. It'll probably
Be like,
shrink some as it gets later, but there'll always be food.
okay, and then your hour,
They are-
because it says 12 to 4 AM.
Yep.
Sunday to Tuesday, then Wednesday there's a reprieve from 2 to 2 AM, and then Thursday to Saturday to 4 AM, so I just.
Yeah, I'll-
Does that mean 2 AM on
No.
Wednesday,
the
that
idea
Lucas
here-
wants to go home early then?
Sorry, the idea here is that there's a. I don't know, I can't find this space at the moment. It should be a 4 AM close all nights with 12 PM start Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and 2 PM start the other nights.
Okay, so it's 4 AM
Correct.
every day, 2 to 4.
And that is the one thing that, the residents had asked us about hours cutting them down. That's the one thing that we can't. Button.
Okay. They can't budge on, they can't budge on. That's what it's
Correct.
currently licensed
Currently
for.
licensed 393 asset
393,
purchase.
no budge.
And again, while I'm happy to represent that this place is not imagining being open till 4 AM, 7 days a week, as you guys know, in the event that we need the flexibility to do that, this is the time to ask for it because we can't do it on a one-off basis.
Okay, so it's background musical. You know DJ show. Okay, go ahead, Bob.
So the trash, is taken out through the front?
Yes.
Okay, and now everybody's required to have trash cans?
Yeah.
So where are the trash cans gonna go on the sidewalk?
It's a good question.
It looks like where they're storing them now is, or where they were storing before was right by the front door,
Yeah, it's.
a little bit to the right.
Yeah, so we'll have to find a space for them. Maybe they have to stay in the basement, maybe they have to stay somewhere else. We'll have to coordinate that in a way
Yeah,
that these,
they look like they're locked up on the right side of that front door to the establishment.
yeah.
Understand? There are no price points on the menu. I have any idea about price. Yeah, just speak into it or pick it up.
We're trying to be reasonable. And our last concept with Chelsea, we were kind of like a mid-range steakhouse. Kind of trying to bring that same idea over here. $30, $40 steak max, but salads, shrimp. But we we want to price it out once we get in there. We don't want to give you something that's incorrect.
Also, I'm opposed to 4 AM, even though those are the hours of the restaurant. It's been a long time. It is a school night. And I am definitely opposed to Thursday, 4 AM. Just,
Well, it's also Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Excuse
Oh.
me,
It's all 7.
That's right.
That's not what. No, that's a mistake. I asked about that.
Application said, but okay.
4 AM.
Don't make, for the
It's 4
record.
AM Saturday. Okay. Anybody else on the committee have anything before I go to the public? Okay, I'll go to the public. So I have, Vicky and Billy, I have Kate Quinn. If you just want to come on up here and start with your name.
Yes.
Yeah.
My name is William Brosh, I'm not in the building. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. There's only 6 units in the building. I just want to give you a little background.
Yeah.
6 units in the building. One of them is as said, a commercial establishment, a law office on the 2nd floor. Everything else is residential. The bar is within the building, obviously. There's a couple of things that were said that I wasn't even going to address, but I might as well because it's just brought up. I don't know where the rats.
Just do me one favor, just tilt the microphone down. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. We don't have rats. I've never seen a rat in the building. I don't know why it was a big deal. We do have somebody who comes in periodically. I don't know if it's monthly, but we have an exterminator. And yes, we've had some, especially recently, some vermin. It may be because the bar that was there before has not been open for many months and they're not doing what they would normally have done, which is control vermin. I'd also like to clarify where that door is. The door that we're concerned about is the only egress from the bar. It's actually the fire door. If there's a fire, my understanding is that there has to be 2 exits in every establishment, the front and somewhere else. This is the other than the front.
Yes.
It is the door exits to the garbage area, which is our, where we come down the stairs, and it's in the garbage area. And the door from the bar leads to that area, and there's another door to, you're there, you're just stuck in the garbage area.
So would you just do me one favor? Can you come over and just clarify the door on the diagram too? If you know, we're all talking about the same door. Is it this door?
Yes, this door leads to this door here leads to what we call the garbage area down here. And this door is the exit to the street, but also is the exit to our elevator, which is unsecured. So if anyone leaves this door, they can't get up the staircase because the staircase is usually locked. Not always, you're supposed to be, but they have to exit through here. Now, in the past, it doesn't happen a lot, but it did happen that on occasion, people could be seen or found in this garbage area or even in our lobby. And they could only have gotten there through the.
Is that a legal garbage area? Or are you really allowed to store it?
Yeah, that's
Your stuff.
well, I don't know if it's grandfathered in or not, but this. I don't know the answer to that question.
But that's where you put your garbage now.
That's where the garbage. That's where it's collected and received.
Okay. Okay, yep. So Cormac, you down at that end, are we clear about the stairwell?
I am.
Okay, okay. No, I just want to make sure everybody, okay.
We got it. Yeah, we know.
Yes, okay, I don't know if anybody saw our list of concerns.
Yeah, I think it is in our Google Drive.
Okay, so
Wait,
We're together as a unit. We were gonna.
why don't you come on up? I need you on a microphone. Okay.
I was gonna say that, of that, the door to the exit for the fire egress, it says, emergency only.
Right.
The reason that doesn't work is because you go out that door and nobody in the bar can hear it. Nobody.
Well,
So that's why it's been disengaged.
People who work the bar would not, if someone left the bar.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. The only one that hears is us, and that's why it was disengaged. So,
okay,
then,
okay.
Okay. Shall I continue?
yeah.
Okay. So on this list, we have a few different things. Some of which were concerns for anybody that came in there and would have been concerns historically that we would have asked, like noise, like garbage in the front, like will you keep people away from the front? Will you clean the front and include our front door? That would be a list of concerns. However, we have a second list of concerns, not delineated in a different space, that since the lease was finalized, somebody has gone into the bar and they have been doing work for several weeks. There is no posted, there's, they don't have a construction permit. There's no permits for anything that's being done. Okay? Would it be okay if I read the list? Does anybody mind? They're not.
I mean, we have the list, but just go through kind of.
Okay, so we didn't know who the lessee was. This is the first time we saw the Pascal. We never received a copy of the list. If we were in a condo, typically we would have been informed of what's going on downstairs. We don't know the name of the business. Construction began,
But isn't that nice?
the construction began without our knowledge. We don't know how long it's gonna go on. There's no permit posted. It's, the construction is loud. We don't have any licenses for the plumbers that are in there or any electricians, and there has been a leak that, we believe is their responsibility, that for some reason or other is affecting the floor above. I know that sounds weird, but that's where there must have been some work done that created that problem, because there hadn't been. Yes, we have not had any reasonable engagement.
But is this, just so I'm clear, is this a co-op building or who manages this building?
It's a condo, right? So there's a difference, and the management companies for Cornerstone Management, they're
Okay.
fairly well known. They have
Yep.
quite a number of buildings. We have a very good relationship with them, and they're usually good advocates for us.
So have you reached out to them?
This is where we got our list from, was from our management agent, because he had all the emails, all the concerns from the tenants. We would always send our concerns to him, so he was able to put that together right here. Okay? They did send one note, which was very short. We had met with their attorney back in June for a short phone. Yes, we will be great neighbors, we'll be the best neighbors in the world. When they did respond to the management agency, they said nothing. In fact, they left out purposefully the soundproofing issue. It was never addressed in that short response. It wasn't a full response to all of our needs. We have the email, it's in June. And finally, not only is construction going on there with no permits that we're aware of, no licensing that we're, but hot water heaters were installed in our side. I don't think that, I don't know if they are entitled to use all of the basement or part of the basement, so I'm not gonna say that they're not entitled. But they did install 2 large hot water heaters right next to the 2 that we have for the building. But he told us
Okay.
You
I
know
mean,
how-
it sounds like some of this has to do with whoever the management company is or relationships with just one of you at a time, please. If you, and with that, and not necessarily the responsibility of the applicant to check with everybody if they have been told they are allowed to put water heaters there. I'm
Well-
just saying that.
No, I understand, but our management agent wrote this up because this is what they don't know. They don't know how the water heaters got there. They weren't asked. They weren't asked for permission. They have not had any contact. The management company has not had contact with,
How do they have a lease?
we don't know.
Well, somebody must know because that.
I mean, somebody owns the ground floor unit, correct?
The ground
So
floor
your
unit,
issues are with the owner of the ground floor unit.
the ground floor unit is
I
then
mean, we're here to review the liquor license application. I mean, most of these issues sound like internal building problems
Okay,
that you have with the owner of the ground floor space.
who is now leasing?
Okay, but that's still, we're reviewing the liquor license application,
Okay,
not the internal building issues. And I'm not saying they're not issues. Just saying that our purview here is reviewing the liquor license.
okay. And so the owner is off premise. He lives in Florida. He's not, we don't know some of the information, like we just found out who it is, these people that are leasing the space. I believe they're connected to the White Horse Tavern, which if you live in the neighborhood, you probably know. This is very well known. I have no idea if they have a good or bad reputation in the neighborhood. Bad?
Guys, can we just focus on, not, yes.
That wasn't me.
That's one person speaking.
Right, okay. So yes, I see what you're saying, that there are many issues that once the lease is confirmed or it is confirmed, and whether the liquor board approves or not. I suppose you could say that many of these are not of your purvey, I suppose. But certainly, I think it's important to note that we haven't been kept in the loop of anything. And I would think if you wanted to be a good neighbor, that would be the first thing that you might want to do. I know I used to own a couple of bars, so that would be the first thing I would do.
But isn't the neighbor is the condo unit,
The neighbor of,
your ground floor is owns that unit.
he owns that unit, yes.
You're saying that the association in the building, nobody here knows whatever your building.
Sure.
That's the person it seems that most of these issues are with. Not with the applicants, because the applicants have reached out to people in the building, and what I understand.
No, that's not true.
Well, you met with them, right? I mean,
No, we had a short phone call with an attorney, and I don't even know the attorney's relationship to Mr. Pascal.
Okay, I mean,
Okay,
it just seems like there's not movement forward, and that's the time. You've had several months here to engage on this. And it's been put over for several months. Applications, I'm just sort of confused what it is that's being asked of us.
Okay,
well, I guess the only thing I could say is that we have not had communication with the owner. He's kind of gone incommunicado.
Okay,
He's gone
the
incommunicado.
condo unit owner, is that
Yes,
who you mean?
The condo unit.
The condo unit owner hasn't done any engagement with the rest of the building.
right.
And,
Yeah, he's old and not well. Could I just ask if there's anyone any neighbor of mine that has forgotten something that I should be saying?
well, what I'm gonna do is if there's anybody who wants to speak on this, they should come up and speak on this, one at a time, come and speak.
Thank you very
So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Did you, I guess, are you good? Okay. Sure. Kate, go ahead. I don't have, just 1 second, Kate, before you start. I need a speaker card. If you could fill out a card, just so I have for both of you, please. Thank you. And just hand it to me and speak. So you can fill it out before or after, but, okay.
Hi, my name is Kate Flynn. I'm a resident in the neighborhood, just a few blocks away. I've lived there in that neighborhood for over 40 years. A new question arose after I heard the presentation, which they mentioned, Mr. Levy mentioned that there would be a bar security company. And my question is that one of the ones, is that the bar security company that is run by one of the Banks brothers, who are currently under investigation by the feds and the DA of New York. My primary concern is in the questionnaire, it was clear that they plan to open the windows, install operable windows. And we've heard from Mr. Levy tonight that they're not going to do that. Unfortunately, my experience with Mr. Levy making that kind of statement for his client is very negative. I brought with me a while back a copy of the SLA's the critical pages of a transcript of the full board hearing for While We Were Young back in 2016, where Mr. Levy is on the record for repeatedly telling then the chairman Bradley that the windows would remain fixed. They would never be open. Of course, it turned out that they were, that particular client of Mr. Levy's was currently in the process of getting approval from the landlords to open the windows. This resulted in quite a nasty disciplinary action by this. So what I would suggest to you, you may need more than Mr. Levy simply telling you, even though what he has officially signed and given to CB2 saying that there will be open windows. You may certainly want something.
There'll be a stipulation that says that there are no operable windows or that the windows will never be opened. The windows will not be changed and the windows will never be opened.
And will that be signed by Mr. Levy or signed?
It will be signed by the boss.
I will, with all due respect, I'll give you a copy. The critical transcript pages where Mr. Levy specified in the full.
I will sign it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Well-
I might have something.
Right. Is that it? Okay. Tal, is that right? Okay.
I was just listening. I grew up.
Just want to, you gotta speak into the microphone and state your name, please.
My name is Tal Kestenberg. I grew up in the building. And I remember the bar that was there before. I just wanted to speak to some more common sense issues I have, which is essentially that nothing good happens between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. And you know, people who go to bars inherently smoke. And so this idea that there will be a security guard outside to tell people not to smoke. Well, I know as a former smoker and bar attender that I'm not waiting for permission to smoke. And that if I'm told not to smoke, I will go somewhere else and smoke. And so the question is really, you know, what can actually be done about that, right? People who are going to bars between midnight and 4 a.m. are going to want to smoke. And if they are told to leave this unit, they'll just walk to the next one and smoke and cause a problem for somebody else. So, you know, I can't see that as a realistic claim, essentially, that there will be some guy outside who's able to prevent that. And then, you know, I don't know about the garbage and the issues with the building. I do know that people can wander into the building if they so choose, because I lived there from age 5 to 18. And I know that people hang out outside the building. And again, it's the same issue as with the smoking, where you can tell them to move, but they'll just go hang out outside the next building. And so there's a sort of kick the can down the road mentality that is not good for the entire neighborhood in that case. You know, I guess with the contact issue, that could be an issue with the tenant of that space or the owner of that particular condo unit. But as far as I understand, there's been one-way communication. Then people have tried to reach out and not only to the owner, but to get information about the person with the lease, and there's been no ability to do so. So, you know, whether that's the owner's fault or issue of communication with the lease, I would imagine there are certain things that are public anyway, like the permits and things like that, that haven't been posted. Those are my concerns.
Thank you. Scott?
Hi, thank you all very much, and thank you for letting us have the time to speak. I wasn't actually intending on necessarily saying anything, but Scott Schulte. But what the councilwoman said really hit home with me. I am one of the tenants in the building who does have young children. I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old girl. School night is very real. Noise and trying to get them to sleep is a difficult enough thing as it is. And the word right. I was going to say 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. because my mother always used to say midnight to 2 a.m. is when nothing good happened. But in Colorado, where I grew up, 2 a.m. was when everything closed. So obviously, New York is a little bit different. But point being, you know, certainly insofar as there's a restaurant, we want every chance for the restaurant to be successful. But at the same point, is there necessarily a need to linger and be open and have the folks who are doing whatever it is they're doing between 2 and 4 a.m. You know, equally well, I think we would all hope that they could be as successful as they might be. Certainly, I'd probably speak for a lot of the residents in the area. We are unquestionably witnessing the successes of Landry Pizza or the new Broadway show at the Lucille Ball Theater with Adam Driver, where there is a line around the block to get pizza at all hours of the day, and there is a line around the block as soon as it's showtime at that theater, and it's very hard for us to get in and out and maneuver around. So you want success, but equally, how does that get controlled or mitigated? And again, just going back to being a parent of young children, we love the neighborhood for the diversity, for the culture, for the people, for everything you see. The folks at the Hangar Bar were, I think they really truly did the best they could, but it's hard to control grown people. It's hard to, and there were a few instances in which our rules were very spooked. They had interactions that, you know, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old at the time, anywhere outside of maybe New York City wouldn't have. And so it's difficult as a parent to protect them or shelter them or make sure they see appropriate things. But so I think that would be the ask, and certainly appreciate the narrative of security and so forth and so far as we go down. But as we think about gives and takes as a parent of young children, that would be the hope and the ask. And thank you, Councilwoman, for raising that. We really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Albert Puente. I'm also a resident of the neighborhood. I also live on Christopher Street, and I also have a young child. The West Village and Christopher Street in particular, it has now become the bar and kitchen of New York City, where people from all over the world descend upon at all hours of the day or night. I think that if the establishment is unable to budge on the hours, then the decision before the committee is very straightforward and simple. The application should be denied without any further consideration. We talk about living in a community with diverse members, and right now we are living in communities that are seeing less retailers, that are seeing less options for shopping, but that, as Scott mentioned, you have lines out the door for theater tickets, for pizza, and for all of the other bars that are there. In addition to the smoking, there's the littering that goes along with it that we need to keep in mind, because as the parent of a young child, and I can assure you that we are the ones walking through the cigarette butts, walking through all the vape pens, walking through all the litter that's on the floor, all the pizza crust, all the food that's left out overnight, and having to explain to our children that they didn't in fact see vermin running back and forth across the street. And so these are important points for the community to consider when we talk about the neighborhood that we want to live in. And we should really start to emphasize that bars open past 2 a.m., past midnight, you know, that there are other places in the city that should be considered for establishments with those kinds of hours. Thank you.
You know, normally that would be great comments, but in this particular case, this establishment is not subject to the 500-foot rule because it's been licensed since 1993. So when they say they're going to be open until 4, it doesn't mean that's when they will be, but they're preserving the right because the location is not subject to restriction.
Certainly, but PS3
So
is right
it
there.
doesn't, and it's not on
And
the
there's
same,
church.
it's not on the same street and within 200 feet, which is the rules. And the input giving, if we were to do that, it must be approved because there's no reasoning behind it. And that's why I just bring that up, which is why the engagement is really important. It's on the operation of the business. It's on what does impact the community, for example, sound, security, you know, those types of things. But to not have any of those discussions takes away from the opportunity of what we have here discuss. It doesn't make those issues not real. It's just, this is an opportunity at the inception of license to discuss some of those other. And that's why it's important to bring them up and to discuss them now, particularly even before they are expending any more money and actually maybe doing some of the work so that they can do it in such a way that mitigates any issues, whatever they may be. So for example, windows, you know, they just, you know, residents of buildings may not see the roads, but that's certainly something that happens in businesses and, you know, certain types of buildings, they don't go up in the buildings. They do, but that's all the reality that they're dealing with. So that's why when I said before, it wasn't to dismiss the concern. It's just, we have a small purview. This is the opportunity to discuss it. So that's why.
There's also a Lutheran church though.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and if I can summarize, the point that Mr. Booth is making is, there's a lot of people up here sympathize with you about the hours, but because of the way the laws are constructed, it is outside of our power to do anything about them.
Sure.
That doesn't mean they're not a real issue. It means that there's not an issue committee board can necessarily address here, but it is an issue elected officials can address. And you might want to reach out to elected officials about this as a systemic issue about the hours and the way that the liquor laws are written. So,
thank you.
And just to make a point, the liquor authority can impose conditions, even if it is not subject to the 500-foot rule, if there is a compelling issue be raised. So, but it doesn't mean that no, the license can't be issued. That's.
Thank you.
Okay, state your name and.
Michael Stockman. I'm a resident of 115 Christopher as well. I'm the newest resident to the building. I think everybody's been there a long time. So I think some of the issues we seem to be having are communication based. I think you guys have pointed that out. The owner of the space hasn't been responsive. And so I think there are challenges there. I didn't get involved with this until recently, but I actually reached out to one of the proprietors on Instagram. He got back to me within an hour. I talked to the lawyer for an hour today. So from my perspective, they seem to be making efforts in the right direction. As far as the hours, like I understand that, but you know, I also choose to live in New York where it's not necessarily quiet for reasons of part of the charm and the curse. So, but just from my discussions with Mr. Levy today, you know, I didn't get the suspicion that they're trying to run this place rough until 4 a.m. every night and the doors will be closed. So as long as they keep it reasonable, I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else on the public feel inspired to speak on this one? Okay, I'm back.
Despite my great desire to address everything, I'm not going to. Number one, the construction permits.
Yeah.
The work that's being done in the place is purely cosmetic, mold removal, some paneling removal, nothing that requires actual building permit. They're talking to electricians and plumbers as we speak. They have not decided on one yet. As soon as they do, they will be filing for permits so they can do the work appropriately and legally. With respect to the leak on the ceiling of the unit above them, I don't know what to say about that. Water doesn't travel that way, as far as I'm aware. So that is not anything that we're aware of. As far as the new hot water heaters being installed, I've just sent a text message to every other member of the team in case Luke wasn't available or involved in that particular decision, and everyone says no. We don't have a plumber yet. We haven't done any
So
of that work yet.
the
That's
water heaters are not that,
not that,
but they,
Wait, they're not there?
they're not theirs. They're not, they are not the ones
not
installing.
commissioned or authorized by.
No.
They're there.
They may be there, they're not theirs, theirs.
Could have been the owner of the unit and not a tenant.
You did not put them in.
We did not. I specifically did not put them in. As far as security goes, it's all season security. It's not the security referenced earlier here that has a pending issue. And that's it.
Did you say that you didn't give permission for the water heaters?
We're not doing a back and forth, but
No,
what
but I
he said
said-
was, go ahead. No, you said what you said.
What I said was, we did not put in those hot water heaters. Whether they were put in by the owner of the unit or someone else, he's not aware hot water units were installed. We don't have plumbers on retainer to do that kind of work yet, so.
Okay.
Okay, so, then what about Mr. Sugarman?
He's involved here. I disclosed that last time. I disclosed that to the residents when we had a Zoom call, which was not short. It was supposed to be 2 hours.
What is his involvement, just so we're clear on that?
He will be an owner here. What percentage, we don't know yet.
He's not on here because we don't know what percentage it's going to be.
Correct. We didn't know how involved he was going to be initially. We still don't. We haven't negotiated that deal yet, but he will be involved here.
So I guess it remains to be seen if it's going to be another part of Hudson's Street on.
Could be.
Gotta say.
What I can certainly commit to doing is when we do know, I will alert the board office so that you guys have a advance of us filing.
And, yeah,
And what do you plan to
well,
do?
need to use the mic.
And what do you plan to do about the hour during the week?
Nothing.
Nothing. Like I said, I don't anticipate that this place is going to be open the full hours all of the time, but, you know, we look at the flexibility of them and
So just to, this is a restaurant that is a bar, it has a
Technically,
full
it's a bar
kitchen, so it has full kitchen, but it's a bar. It's
Correct.
not, it's not a restaurant. You will be operating it as
Correct. It's a
a bar with a full food
bar
menu, I can think.
correct.
And just so we're clear, the intent is to operate till 4 AM. You're not, because I heard we're gonna reserve our rights or things of that sort because it's on the license, things of that sort, but are we gonna operate till 4 AM? That's, I think, what people are interested in finding out. And if you're not operating till 4 AM, what are you gonna be operating to? I do think that you're entitled to know that. I think whether you want to reserve your rights to 4 AM or whatever the law is, I think people should know what the intent is at this point. Thanks.
Yeah. That's fair. Generally speaking, the intention here would be operate to about 2 is the plan. But of course, if it's busy, we'd like to stay open a little bit later. If there's an event that's going a little bit later, we'd like the flexibility to do that. There might be some nights where we close earlier. Maybe there's no business on a Sunday and we wind up closing at midnight. But at the end of the day, you know that this is the opportunity where we talk about hours. And if we say, you know what, we'll stick with 2 and we decide to come back later because we want 4, that's going to be a very tough road for us.
I just had a question. Who's the final decision maker?
It's going to be a vote ultimately of the owners, of which they're still having that conversation. They haven't even gotten to raising money and signing that yet. There will be a group of people and there will be a majority vote.
Because it raised before, and the liquor authority doesn't seem to think so. Seeing the primary owner, Mr. Sugarman, not care what the New York City Police Department has sent to him multiple nights in a row. Their reluctance, earlier on to engage with the liquor authority is such that they actually engage with the liquor authority. And, that's not really been satisfactorily addressed at all. And I personally stood there next to police officers who said, we told him he had to stop clothes and he did not. Personally, and I've never seen in many, many years of engaging with our local police precincts, never seen a police officer so upset and stuck in a position where there was huge crowds and they were not in a position that they could actually do it. And I think that that's the concern that sort of bubbles. And Mr. Sugarman has said, because he can't reach out to me personally, he can't fix this, but I'm not the person who needs to fix it.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think that that's people's experience for a period of time, and that's why there's a concern. And by dancing around in the background, it doesn't help it. Because
I agree.
this is not coming up and meeting with people and discussing with them to move forward. But it's an issue. It's real, and there were only a few operators who operated that way in our community. I mean, less than people, and so that's why everybody. And it's, to me, if he is a major part of this, why isn't he?
That's fair, and I'm happy to address it. So a couple of different things. So number one, I can't defend him in that situation. I'm not going to, because there's no defense for it, frankly. There's more decision making at a time that he has already apologized for, and of course that's not good enough. But I think his track record more recently has been a positive one. He's carried on good relationships with local PD at that space recently. You guys just heard the other day that there were no 311 issues, there were no crime issues within the last year. So he's not a terrible operator. He had a terrible moment in time. And the reason that he is not here and Lucas is here is because this is an adaptation of his concept from another neighborhood that he was bringing here. And Eitan found the space, but we didn't know how involved he was going to be. But it's his concept from another place and had a liquor license in New York City. So it made sense for him to connect. And that's why he's not here. I can absolutely bring him with me. I absolutely disclosed his involvement in some capacity last time and to the residents separately, and I'm doing it here again. And I agree with you. The dancing in the background thing doesn't work and doesn't serve anybody's interest. And you guys know I have not always represented him. The way that I'm doing it now, it's not something that I do. So for whatever that's worth.
I want to say, first off, I appreciate that, and you have disclosed, I want to acknowledge that. I understood from the beginning that he was somehow connected or in the background of this thing, as Clark of dancing somewhere back there. What I'm concerned about now is, like, you talk about the final decision-making being majority vote. This is a corporate structure, so I'm assuming it's not everybody who has even one little share gets a vote. A majority vote means based on how much of a share.
Correct.
But you can tell us, and I don't mean you, like, you don't know how big a share Mr. Sugarman has, which means that he could be the majority stakeholder in this enterprise and the boss, even though he's not the applicant here today, and making those final decisions. And based on his record in his community, like, I would be much less likely to approve a license for him than I would be for your client here. And, that's sort of what the problem is. What we're worried about is, right, is that, with intent or not, right? I'm not accusing anybody of skullduggery, right, kind of thing? That the de facto result will be that this is a stalking horse for an Eitan Sugarman establishment and for a man who has shown himself to be a menace to the community. And that's my concern.
Well, I'll take exception to the last part when you categorize him in that way.
My opinion.
Yeah, moment in time, I can't defend. I just can't. As a general operator with 20 years of experience, it's a different story. If you look at the whole body of work, there is this blemish on it that I can't defend and I'm not going to deny. Again, the idea here was to hide the guy. I would never disclose him. But I have disclosed him repeatedly. He will be involved. I just can't tell you what number because they haven't signed their deal yet. I don't know what it's going to be.
Lucas, can we hear from you? Like, obviously we have an issue with this guy and everything. What do you think? You're going to work with this person. Like, I own a business, co-foundership and whatever it looks like.
So I'm going to start with my business. I had a viral moment too. So I had a line around the corner as well. Yeah, 263 West 19th, called Bum's Club. We had these crazy milkshakes, they went viral, flying around the block. Community was upset at first, and I personally made a real effort, to try to clean it up. Precinct was right around the corner, so we came really close with the community affairs. They gave us sanctions. I mean, we really worked with them to the point where they actually walked me into New Year's Eve with them, so I could see the ball with my family. Took about 20 minutes to get in and 20 minutes to get out. So, my uncle was a chief of detectives in New York during 9/11. He was in charge of the dump site. I can't excuse what he did. All I can tell you is I respect everyone's concerns. I have young kids. I have a 5-year-old girl.
Talk to us.
I have a 5-year-old girl. I hear you, we're going into this, with hope. We want to be a good member and a good addition to you guys. I get your concerns, I really do. But we're what Aton did, I can't justify it. It wasn't me. I think that part of the reason why he brought me on was because of my relationships that I was able to form in the past. I hope to do the same here. And we've made an effort. He spoke for over 2 hours. I know because we got the bill to everyone in this community. We got emails, we've made a real effort here, and we understand the law as well. But even understanding the law, we want to be a good part of your community. So, I hope it puts it to rest, but, I don't believe Aton is a menace. I actually see him give pizzas out on Thanksgiving to local people. See him, do great things. He's done great things for me, done great things for my family. I get the concerns, but I just don't see that side of him. And I think, and I hope that over this time period, you guys will see what I see in him. And, I hold myself to a standard, and he does too. I think he had a bad moment. I think it was a rough time for everyone. I think the city went through a rough time. And, we're kind of coming out of it, but, it's all the other issues, the city is a tough place. That's what it is.
So I just want to bring up something that a conversation jogged my mind, and the gentleman over here brought up, which is an example of going a step above, right? There are a lot of bars, some of them are operating, some are problems. Pizza places, an example of places that are a problem. Overflow garbage can, give everybody a box for a slice of pizza. Garbage is everywhere. But there's one of the new businesses. You absolutely cannot have a box unless you're taking it home. And that's the type of taking a step up and being a better neighbor. Which they don't have to do that. But they're and when your neighbors down the block, because you've had a number of new pizza places in there. That's an example of somebody taking a step to be better for the neighbor, not what they didn't have to do. And it's the same thing. Security guard, hey, you can run a little tighter on the patron, as far as what they're doing, what the other gentleman said, not bother the other neighbor. But there are ways to do it. That's why who's in charge. Is it a person that's regularly walking in that door? And, coming in all the time. Well, because that's the day to day. And Christopher Street does have a history of a lot of bars. It's a big part of the fabric. Certainly, it's expanded on, unfortunately, I think it's what it's first, but there have been bars for a long time. But it's how they work in the community predictable, known, not creating issues, not suddenly, all of a sudden, there's some crazy night. You know, that's the type of thing, and that's why, you know, if there's gonna be an ownership structure that's gonna have multiple businesses in our community, that's the type of involvement that we want to see, not, oh, it's extended further and further that nobody in the ownership structure actually. Issue. So I just bring that up because that's what I think everybody's. Bar's been there a long time. There's some issues. How do you do it a little bit? Make a big difference.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is going to, let's see. DeMolinari Greenwich. Not DeMolinari Greenwich, St. George. Tavern. Go ahead, yeah.
Good evening, I'm Jonathan Bing from Greenwich. With me is Robin Zuri, who's the operations manager. This is an application for DeMolinari Greenwich at 62 Greenwich. It's a beer, wine, and cider on-premise license application. The alcohol is very incidental to the operations of the coffee shop. 60 seats, one bar. The hours are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. No outdoor seating, only background music. This entity has appeared before you before. With regard to its current location, it's 74 South. They've been open for about 40 months. No issues or complaints that we've been aware of with regard to that location, and we'd love to have your support in this application.
Okay, I just said, is there any patron use of the basement or of the third floor?
No.
Okay. And, are there operable doors, windows, like French doors, or is everything fixed?
Yeah, that's it.
So the doors will be closed at all times? Okay. And it's only background music? No DJs, no live music?
No.
It said 2 entrances. I only see one entrance. Oh, okay, got it. So it's not it's the sidewalk hatch to get, yep. And is there a lower roof outside of, I believe then it would be outside of the second floor? Like, does the first floor extend out further than the second and third floor?
There is an outside, I guess, it's the roof of the first floor. They're not planning to use.
So that was gonna be my question, that you won't use it, the employees won't use it, there won't be smoking out there. Okay, and, the patron bathroom, is that on the first floor? And I don't think that's the patron bathroom, I think it's just the one patron, you have your, oh, okay. Okay. And that's all for your staff, and, okay. All right, I think that.
And I also think isn't there a really tall window in the back? Do you have a window that goes all the way up the back of it, back of the building?
Oh, it overlooks.
Yeah, I guess we reviewed this application in the past and when that was renovated and, there's also like, you can look, if your patrons can look out at their neighbors across the way. In other words. Okay. I guess, I don't know if it was in the stipulation before, but maybe there.
Stipulations before that said it had to be covered,
Yeah.
or,
In other words, Yeah, where are they? Do you have them? Yeah, because we've been in this place, and when it was renovated, it was a very unusual location because they wanted to use that backyard space as a roof deck. And people live right there in the back on the other side of that. It's really close. They're on 14th or 13th Street, 12th Street, I don't know. 11, thank you. Yeah, on the back side there, it's 11th Street. And so there were stipulations for this place, and we just want to make sure that we kind of maintain those stipulations. You're not going to use it anyway, so it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Yeah. Yeah, that's all. But yeah, because it's an unusual space and someone could be in it after you, and we just like to keep consistency because that is a place that could not be like you, could be very different.
So it's a long. Okay. Applicant agrees that the rear lower roof at 62 Greenwich Avenue property shall not be accessed, used, or occupied at any time by the 62 Greenwich owner or the applicant tenant or any of their customers, employees, or invitees for any purpose except the 62 Greenwich owner and or the applicant may access the roof solely to perform necessary building maintenance during the hours between 10 and 4, Monday through Friday. In this regard, 62 owner shall ensure that the door to the rear lower roof is securely locked at all times and that any keys to said door are maintained safely and secure. Just, okay. And then, 19 and 20, okay. Prior to the opening of the applicant's restaurant at 62 Greenwich Avenue and issuance of any liquor license, the applicant agrees to and shall install the following improvements. 1, sheet metal panel shall be applied to the inside of each pane of glass in the rear glass wall, including the door completely covering the vision area, and 2, acoustic separation between the occupied spaces, the entire first and second floors, and the exterior above the rear lower roof shall be achieved by the existing envelope plus a metal stud and gypsum board system that completely separates the occupied spaces from the real glass wall. There will be no gaps or openings in the system except for self-closing doors, which will have a key lock on both sides. These doors shall remain closed at all times except during actual passage. The improvements will meet or exceed the description on the aforementioned agreement dated September 13, 2016. The system shall consist of 3-part arrangement as described. And yeah, that should all be there.
Well, what it does is you haven't done the outreach because the impacted neighbors in the space are actually the people behind you. And that was why they spent a year working on this during the renovations. And it was quite a number of people. And there are a number of attorneys, the former nightlife mayor, when she was in consulting capacity, was involved with this, with the app. Well, advising them. But the biggest thing is that I think, if I remember, right, which we haven't seen recently. So there may have been improvements that were made, right, by the previous operator that don't seem to make sense that they were put in.
We haven't changed it.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Yeah.
And also noise. The other concern is noise, which is what I think that they had originally talked about, some sort of heavier curtains, that type of stuff. I'm just bringing that up because those were the issues there, and they were. I'm sure they would take action if there was an impact. That's what I'm saying. You know, they were very. They
The problem is that when there's notices provided, people tend to say, oh, let me put the notice in Greenwich. And in fact, it's 11th Street, the people that are most impacted from that's all. And so that window, if you could make sure that there's no, privacy concern of people looking into other people's windows. Yeah.
I'd like to just point out, interestingly enough, no windows appear on the floor plan in the back, or that the big one does. So I don't know what that's about, because I do remember this case, but the floor plan does not show back windows It shows a back window off the stairs on the second floor, like a relatively small one. That's it. So I'm not sure what's going on.
The window from the first.
Is there any window in the back of your space that looks out the back?
Just step up to the microphone, please.
So not on the first floor, okay? And on the second and third floor? On the second floor overlooking the terrace space, is there?
I
a large-
think there's a little on there, yeah, I don't think it's.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they thought, maybe they did, everything.
Is that Greenwich Steakhouse that?
Yeah, basically, yeah. The people work.
That was receptive.
You don't see the whole window.
So maybe they covered it. Maybe they covered it up so with the gypsum board. Yeah, but
You wanted to approve it.
yeah, I'll probably just include them, just make sure because they went through all that, so. And you can just make sure it's there. Maybe you won't have to do anything. Okay, everybody good here? I don't think I have anybody on the public on this one. Okay,
Just one question. We did not include this in the materials, but they would like the opportunity to have one private event a month. That was. They were.
there is no outside. No. Are you going to do any outside? Is your plan to have any outside?
They would be.
It's not just that you're not applying now, you don't intend to.
Do you intend to ever?
No.
Thank you. So I think we're good. Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That you stipulations it'll put on. No. Okay, the next one is going to be RemyMidtown LLC, 35 East 13th Street, also known as 119, 121 University Way. Hi.
Yes.
Is there anything different?
Yeah, we have the Block Association.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Rosa Rivers for the applicant, RemyMidtown LLC over at 35 East 13th Street, aka 119 through 121 University Street. This is an application for a full on-premises liquor license. It's on the second and third floors, total and the rooftop, total 374 person occupancy. Like menu, we have met with the Block Association, closing hours on the inside until 4 o'clock in the morning, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Rooftop closing the roof Sunday through Thursday at midnight, Friday and Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then Sunday through Wednesday on the inside until 2 o'clock in the morning. We will have security. We are installing soundproofing. And we also have Debbie's telephone number so we can work with him directly to have the proper soundproofing installed.
Just go back, I'm sorry. Let's just go back to the hours for 1 second. So it's Sunday, Monday it is on the inside 11 to 2.
Yes.
And,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4.
and what's Tuesday and Wednesday? 2. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, what, so, okay.
Yes, Sunday through Wednesday, 2. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4. Inside. Rooftop, Sunday through Thursday till midnight. And then 2 o'clock Friday and Saturday.
Okay. And, do you have any public assembly permits for here?
So he is working with an architect and there's currently, huh? No, I'm sorry, Miss, I put somebody to
Right up there. So you're working with somebody to get that?
Yes,
And the same thing with, I guess, the current certificate of occupancy, because the temporary one is
Yes.
expired, from what I see.
yes, and we also submitted a letter with that as well.
Okay, and then, so explain the soundproofing to me. What sound, there's gonna be live music,
There's gonna be live music.
DJs.
Yes.
So what kind of soundproofing is going in there?
So. So the soundproofing is gonna be through one of the slot companies that we picked. We're gonna go through the list that, Debbie's gonna provide. And work with them directly, install it and not have any sound coming from the place. So hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Pete Gutierrez. How are you today?
Good. What was your name again?
Pete Gutierrez.
Okay.
So we had spoken with David in reference to, because the main concern really about the spaces, whoever was there before wasn't adhering to the sound. So he recommended a couple of companies and we're gonna work directly with him. We're gonna do some decibel readings also to make sure that the sound is appropriate so that we don't disturb neighbors.
Okay, and what is your role in this?
I'm the general manager.
You're the gentleman.
I'll be the one with the whip and chain with no noise. Don't make any noise.
Okay, and then private parties,
So yes, there will be, at times some private parties, corporate events.
not more than 24.
Yeah.
Is that a yes or no?
Yeah. That's what we're trying to figure out.
That's kind of difficult, to state at this point. For example, we do some nonprofits like Aspira. We also do some corporate events. So for us to sit here and tell you, we're gonna do 24, that wouldn't be the truth because it could be 24 or less or more.
Well, I don't care if it's less. Nobody's gonna argue with less.
Right.
So do we have any kind of a number? that-
No, we haven't because we're not in the building yet. It's too soon for us to know. To tell you.
Well, okay. So 52, I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is it one every week, one every month on average? Something to work with on that. Because it makes, I'm just gonna say, the impact of private events is how many people are in here? 375 people leaving at one time.
Well, 374 if the roof is open, so then.
But I'm just saying, I mean, you're still talking 200 people. You're talking 300. If the roof is not open, then you're still talking 300 people saying, get up, because you hear what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I hear what you're saying.
It makes a big impact to the community.
So let's say about.
Yeah, when you're,
About 36.
okay. And, there are TVs, are you on the roof? Is that,
But it's for displays, not for the sound.
so there will never be any sound
No,
on the
we've
TVs?
already discussed that the other night as well.
And will they just be for private events or,
No, I believe they're gonna be on.
okay, I'm going to say that we've had other applications like this. We've had a problem with that. If you've got all sports games going on or something up on a rooftop and 75 people screaming. But I'll let other committee members weigh in on that. That's my 2 cents on that. And then are there speakers up on the roof?
There are, but the way we're gonna set them up is not gonna be any large speakers. We're gonna do the little tiny speakers.
So the previous, from what I see, when the roof was added, there was no music up on that rooftop.
Yeah.
Back then. So I'm going to speak for myself here and then we'll go to the rest of the committee, but we are pretty standard across the board here that there are no speakers on rooftops because it goes all over. And I think even from what I could see just clicking on the buildings around there, back in 2010, when it was said no music, there are big condo buildings that have gone up since then around there that would be even more impacted by something. So I would recommend getting rid of any speakers on the roof. And then the windows.
The windows we discussed the other night, we're also gonna work with the soundproofing engineer.
Are you going to replace them, or I don't know if I'm just going to tell you as somebody who does not live in that neighborhood, so anytime I have walked by there, I cannot believe anybody lives near there and that I have not personally, like, heard a bunch of complaints because it's horrendous. And then when I went back and walked by again and looked, to me, part of the problem with that space is it's a brick building that's filled with windows. And it's hard to, no matter what you do with a wall, not a basement space, it's not a few little windows, it's across the block, both sides, University and 13. It's filled with windows. Yeah. So, which explains to me why I was always hearing music blasting out of it every time I walked by.
Yep, so that was addressed the other night as well, and we are going to do work to better properly install and soundproof those windows so that no noise comes out of it, because I think right now they say about a 3/4 inch plywood or something like that. It's not good enough.
All right, I'll go to the committee. Anybody have anything before I go to the public?
I mean, I would just reinforce, again, it's just my personal perspective, can't say what the committee would do. I don't like the idea of a roof at all, but I'm certainly not gonna be comfortable with a roof that has any kind of sound or television or any, any electronic, whatever. I mean, a roof that's just people, right, to an earlier hour or something, is one thing, but a roof with, with electronic entertainment of any kind. As Donna said, I wasn't for it before, based on the residents that don't work, street on University. Now there's more residential in the neighborhood. I'm not gonna be comfortable with it, and I thought it was good to be honest and transparent about that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, perhaps you could explain these floor plans to me. Which direction is the street, 13th Street?
Yeah.
One on each.
So while we're looking at the floor plans, usually there is a site plan so that we see how this facility or building, situates on the streets or backyards or side yards or.
I have a feeling. There's another chance because I think it's all longer on 13th Street. Yeah.
It is the brush up to the corner.
Yes.
So, and this is the 15th. And the entrance from 13th is. Right, so. Yeah.
This is 13.
Okay, so in fact, the roof garden is gonna be exposed on the two sides. Both sides, because there's some relatively large buildings. Well, I see,
The rooftop is exposed on 13th Street and University. You can talk to that when you talk, so we get it on microphone.
yeah, so, all right, so.
So one second, I have a
not
better
enough
clarification on the television. So the television upstairs on the rooftop is some of them to show the menu, and the other one is to visualize.
So the purpose of the TV on the rooftop shows the drink menus, shows the menu of the food, and also we have visualizers. So which means it's just like lights and stuff,
And the sound is low.
and the sound is off on the TV says.
So when Mr. Sullivan came here,
So,
Mr. Sullivan, who came here, no, but he came here to get the rooftop, promised up and down, no music.
That's why we're going over everything right now.
Well, I'm just telling you, the community board also was not, I mean, this license hasn't been in compliance with any rules for most of its existence. Right? I mean, you represented somebody who. I mean,
And that never.
no, I know the issues.
Yeah, I know the issues.
So there's been like 5 temporary C of Os, maybe 8 over a 20-year period.
Mhm. Well, I understand, and that's.
You know, I mean, the floor plans here don't show us any of the complexity of this space. It's set up a little bit normally as Brian was moving to shared places, assemblies for each floor, not the whole establishment. Initially, it was just the 2 floors that include the roof. It was never reviewed at the liquor authority section of this license over the objection board too. No, but these are the things you're trying to ride off of the operation that's there. I believe that this is licensed prior to 1993.
That's still up for question because Peggy Sue was there from like 90 something.
On the ground. Just on the second.
I have to, I'm still waiting for all those records to come through. Yeah, so there's.
The old stuff. But what I'm saying is that this place keeps expanding and being a nuisance.
But it's not expanding.
You know,
Okay. Mhm.
now you're more or is it, and that's the outside is where the issue is in
Mhm.
all the new buildings. So it just seems that we're starting off in an interesting place because that's, you know, this has been an issue place over time. We never had the permits in place. I'm assuming because that's a significant issue with the building. I think that they see both sides.
So that's why he's working with the architect. So
Well, that's what we've been told for how many years? So and now it's even of significant concern since the liquor authority doesn't review that. And, you know, you're spending money on this place and you get shut down.
Well,
Because
no.
you don't have C of O if you don't get one, and it's not reissued each time period. You get a violation for not having a C of O.
And I've made him aware of all of that, which is why he's working very, hard to make sure it gets issued.
Does anybody else from the committee have anything, Brett? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the application says, you want to be open till 2 AM on the rooftop.
That's just Friday and Saturday.
Okay, but that's what it says. And then it also said, like, what about heaters? Are gonna be heaters up there? Is there a bar? Are you gonna have a,
So there is a
Bar?
bar, there is a bar up there and the food prep area is also up there.
what kind of bar? I don't see it on, I don't see any bar on a diagram for the outside. What's the
It's
bar?
right there next to the food prep area. It's just a stand-up bar right there with some seats.
Okay, how many people at the bar?
I think it's 6.
There's no seating at the
Oh, no, there's no seating at the bar.
seating.
It's a what?
You grab the drink and that's.
Oh, so you can order from there, but then you have to go back and have a seat. You don't sit at the bar.
Okay, and in your pictures don't show any seats. Are there any seats up there or is it just wide open?
Oh, no.
Well, right now it's wide open.
Is it planned to have seats there or are people gonna sit down or what are they gonna do up there? Just stand?
Yep.
I keep forgetting about my apologies, I'm sorry. So the bar is not a bar that you sit, you basically get a drink and you go have a seat. We have little couches or we're working on that also. But it's not sitting at a bar.
Okay, and what about heaters?
Or in the wintertime, if it's not too cold.
So it's not seasonal. This is gonna be year round?
It's not really year round. It's not, if, when it
Why
gets
would
very.
you have, why do you have heaters then?
No, I mean, if the temperature is above, I don't know, what do you think? Right.
What kind of heaters are they gonna be up there? So the kind with the gas tanks?
Okay, and then last before I go to the public is, could you just, the experience, are the principals here? Because you're the
Yeah.
manager.
Yes, so the principal is here with me. His name is Tom Leon. I'm having this.
Okay,
And he owns his own restaurant for, what is it, 20-something years now,
which is, where is that?
in
And
New Jersey. So now he's opening up one in Manhattan.
do they have a liquor license there?
No, he does not have a liquor license.
So what's the experience with running a club? I mean, this isn't even a restaurant, so a club with a full liquor license with DJs, live music, open until 4 a.m. in New York City.
Correct. I have a lot of experience working in corporate buildings and a lot of caterings.
But what does that have, what does that have to do with DJs, live music, people dancing, 300 people in a New York City bar?
Well, I have a lot of experience working with a lot of catering places, managing bars and numerous
That's okay, yeah.
just a lot of clients, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm a culinary institute graduate. I work at the Waldorf Astoria at the Plaza Hotel, so it's just numerous numbers, catering, high volume.
But that's very different than opening bar with
Well, it
DJs
is
and
very
dancing
different.
until 4 a.m. in New York City.
I worked a lot in bars. I haven't owned one. It's always been my dream to own. I have a lot of experience working with the liquor, managing, controlling, never had a liquor license.
Okay.
So this will be my first liquor license.
And you haven't managed the bar.
I did manage a restaurant bar. It's now closed. It's Charter House in Midtown. It holds over 200 people in front of the Lincoln Center. I was the head chef, control everything. It had a rooftop bar as well. I used to control the bar, I used to control the restaurant. Nothing under my name, but I was the manager.
Okay.
But this is the club.
Correct.
So tell us about your experience. Midnight.
There's always been a lot of help. I have a lot of managers, securities. I'm not gonna say that I was 100% doing all the job. I have managers doing the job for me, and I oversee all of it. As long as I control and make sure that everybody's doing their job the way it's supposed to.
Okay. I'm just gonna go to the public. Yeah, okay. Joe Granfield, Robert Dave Gentile, wants to come on up? Whoever wants to go first.
First off, I want to thank this committee from the bottom of my heart. No, seriously, Bert, I couldn't possibly do what you do just from a logistics standpoint. I don't afford the time, so it's incredible. I want to say two things really quick that are sort of generic, and then I'll get straight to specifics. I want to say that every moment of time spent by the applicant is an investment, it's a speculative investment. Right? And every moment of time spent by the community is a sunk cost. It removes the community from the family, from work, from rest, all these really important things. So there's a really huge difference. If we're doing a sort of gross calculus of how many people have signatures on what the applicant, there really should be no weight. I think there should be zero weight put to anything that an applicant, that any applicant, it has nothing to do with the specific applicant. I think no amount of signatures should matter at all to applicant, simply because of the fact that time invested is a speculative investment on their part. The second thing is all of this stems from crap zoning enforcement. Absolutely, from the get-go. From Soho, sorry artists,
from Soho to everything else, the spillage of industrial and commercial uses into residential neighborhoods is the problem forever and ever and ever. I think all the stipulations that we had talked to with the applicant, with this, now I'm gonna get specific. With this applicant, we're under the premise that this is a continuously licensed operation since 1993. If that is the case, then everything we've talked to them about, I personally stand behind. I emailed everybody I know, hundreds of people in the neighborhood, and I received very little feedback. What's going on with our neighborhood? I've been out of it for 12 years exactly, almost, and it's because of family obligation. Anyways, I want to speak one more generic thing. Historically, the city has been I've been in this city since 1978, consistently in this neighborhood on this block. Whether that's shameful or something to take pride in, I don't know, but since 1983. So historically, this entire city has been way, way quieter between the mechanical units and just the general incivility. The noise floor has come up a lot in general. So it's much more difficult nowadays to just get rest. Okay, now, that's basic. So the Block Association historically, and again, I'm going way back a decade, took a stance that essentially under what circumstances would it be acceptable for every single premises to have a license? And then we worked out stipulations to figure out how could we survive as humans with a license in every single storefront. And the stipulations are basically like this. You have to hire an acoustical consultant certified with the city of New York. They have to do a commission. They have to oversee the construction. They have to make it such that the place is New York City noise code compliant, which is not an easy feat, especially if you demand the third point, which is they have to commission test the space. So when they commission test the space, they will go on a quiet morning, not when the noise floor is through the roof, but on a quiet Sunday, they will go and they will crank the system to its limits. If those limits are imposed by a limiter, a governor, some sort of DS, digital signal processing, whatever the limits are, however they're imposed during normal operations, those limits will be set in place. And then the place will be dimed, as in you close your eyes, you go like this, and you turn all the knobs all the way up. And then you blast, I don't know, death metal, whatever. And you go into the nearest sensitive receptor, which is the closest apartments. We have apartments directly to the west, diagonally across the street now in what was at one point the Nutella store, randomly, and then directly to the south, not directly to the south, excuse me, one lot to the east on the south face, which is my building, the backside of my building. And so sensitive receptors can be arranged. I will arrange them at 4080 East 13th Street. I will arrange them at the northwest corner of University and 13th. I don't know anybody in that diagonal building, so I can't facilitate that one, but those two is good enough. And essentially, we're under the presumption that this license, the liquor board is going to, the state liquor authority is going to give this license. I don't know to this applicant. This applicant doesn't seem very experienced in this particular thing, but you know, they're going to give it to somebody. And so our stance is, let's seal the box and get it quiet. This is the leakiest, as you said, Chair, this is the leakiest box in the neighborhood. This has been, and you know how many licenses there are in the neighborhood, this has historically been the #1 nuisance location in the neighborhood. I'm going to stand here before you and say the following words. It would be in the public's benefit to remove this premises from the roster of licenses. Okay, but I'm presuming that the SLA, because basically since 2020, seems like, I don't know what's going on in this town. I'm sorry to say, I don't know what the electeds are thinking, what they're drinking, whatever, but it seems like, I mean, Union Square is unusable. This is a generic, I mean, it's basically like everything is just like quality of life, whatever. It's a euphemism used by, I don't know, Karens or whatever. It doesn't exist. It is an ugly euphemism. It's talked about, you have an apartment that has a function. The function is for rest and for raising a family. You know, and so if you remove the ability for people to use their apartments for attendant functions, what exactly did you sell these people or rent these people? What did you give them? So that's basically it. The steps are the hours. The roof, I have to agree with the committee, but
The hours?
the hours are, midnight and 2 for the roof. No live music, nothing that's basically, they have to comply with New York City noise code from the roof. And the roof is open with 2 reflective walls. There was the building, the Vornado building that has, Whole Foods in it. So there are 2 flat surfaces that act as mirrors, acoustical mirrors. One mirrors to the south, to the north, one mirrors to the west. I have no idea under what sort of mystical distortions of the laws of physics they're going to be able to comply with New York City noise code without enclosing the roof. But that's what they're stipping to. And we will hold them accountable to that. And if they can actually accomplish that, then they're miraculous wizards, and I applaud them.
But yeah.
Yes. If they can comply with New York City noise code, they don't have to close, as far as I'm concerned, because it's impossible to do with an open roof.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, well, look,
They're not enclosing it, so.
yeah, I understand that. Yeah. It's, look, I mean, my building is full of such furious people that I think that things can be done. So, it'll cost us 12 months of our lives, but we'll succeed if they don't comply with it. So, and that's what the city demands. The city demands that you spend a year of your life.
Okay.
So, exterior equipment, there's an exterior equipment stip. I don't know if you've seen these stips.
No.
These ones?
No, I have not. Can you?
Okay, I'll share them.
Just give us a little rundown. Can you email them?
Yeah. Carter and Bob, Carter and Bob know these stips pretty well, and so does Dr. She does. Anyways, it's all, soundproofing, exterior equipment, roof,
So
windows.
it's a set list of steps that's basically for everything.
This vomits forth from the mental exercise of how do we live with a liquor license at every single address.
Okay, if you could
Yeah,
hand that to me
Yes.
and email it.
you bet. Will do.
Was that it? Were you done?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if they can comply with NYC noise code, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just need one, and then I just want to see what I'm looking at tonight, and then you can email it to me. Thank you. Okay. Cheryl?
My name is Cheryl Granfield. I've lived in the neighborhood on East 11th Street between Fifth Avenue and University Place since 1976. Almost everything I could say about this location and the behavioral patterns to the neighborhood has been set by this committee and emphasized by Davida. So from the perspective of this being a continuing for a liquor license, if that's the case, what this operator is representing is actually an improvement from what we have presently and what we have had for the last number of years. If it is not a continuing 4 a.m. license already, all bets are off. That's what we're trying to get here, is improvement from the single noisiest bar club operator in the neighborhood. The open rooftop is an issue, but there's also a regular large crowd sidewalk presence to the university entrance of the space, which I believe is a relatively narrow stairway. And we routinely on the weekends, and especially in the summertime, have a line of people waiting to gain entry to the space. The current operator has been pretty good in the sense that they have security personnel in order to control the line and keep it from getting out of line. I will offer to these applicants the recommendation that if they are going to be dealing with that type of issue, if they do end up opening this operation, security on the sidewalk is going to be mandatory because it's a large people and they can't get very many people up regularly. And the last thing I will offer, two last points. I've already raised with the attorney representative the issue of the lack of prior experience with a direct liquor license by this applicant. And the fact that this is going to be a club with a large number of patrons. It is bar, snack food only, dancing, music, open rooftop area, and we are sitting in the middle of 4 colleges and an enormous number of college students, and this is a recipe for more of what we have already. And the last thing I will offer is across University Place and Caddy Corner South. The new building that is built there is the tallest on University Place at 20 stories north of 8th Street. It is a solid flat front cement and glass window building and is guaranteed to reflect the noise back many times more than the shorter buildings that have been there in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask you just one question. So that they enter both on University and 13?
I've actually rarely seen the 13th Street entrance used.
Okay.
And this may be because I don't hang around often enough at 2 a.m. to see what's going on personally, but with all of the entryway access that I have, my self experience is on the University Place.
Okay. Anybody else from the public?
So it's interesting, even if this was continuously licensed in 1993, and much of the building was not. This place is expanded. If there could be any hours that you would want closing, I mean, because I in good conscience, I mean, they never follow stipulations here. It's because it's been a problem. I have an email from you the other day, 2014. Problems, university, but such as emails. And right, well, I mean, I was just looking back as in the rooftop is really the issue. The interior, those are the two things. And since then, and the reason I have a problem is at that time, I remember because of the way the rooftop is built, and I vague memory of it, it's raised sides. And there wasn't anything that you looked up to. And I think that that's changed with the new buildings in the neighborhood.
Right.
And that's why.
Some more lanes.
Right. And because of that, that's why it's a significant issue because they've never followed the rules. And if I remember that, I don't even think they were supposed to put a bar. It was supposed to have been a space where go and sit down, maybe a service bar, a seated bar. So that's my issue because I think that if you raise some really excellent points with respect to zoning, these are all larger issues that we're having. These are the types of things that create as our gates in areas such as this potentially for the appropriate place to build tall buildings. Potential. Why would we advocate for that? For lousy rooftop, or loud rooftop uses that's a lousy decision-making perspective. So I think that that's something that I would be advocating to significantly reduce the. Yeah.
Yes. So because you asked me a direct question, and it's almost like a fairies and rainbow question, like in a magical world where sundown. That's my answer.
Anybody else in the committee have?
Yeah, so I hear everything you're saying, which is why they're agreeing to do these stipulations, which is why he is hiring, the proper people to get, so that the neighborhood doesn't have these issues anymore. which is why we're agreeing to close the rooftop at an earlier time, which is why we're agreeing not to have, even though we're gonna have the TVs up there, because we're gonna be a TV on, not gonna have any of the sound. We're not having any seats at the bar.
This is your retail here. You can look at all the other
Mhm.
buildings.
I can't say that.
Get a privacy filter. I'm looking at Google. And your building is the lowest building.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly.
So all the sound is gonna go like this up to everybody else. You need to come up to the microphone. I'm happy to have you speak, but you really do need to speak into the microphone.
No, we don't gonna have no big speaker loud music going on the roof.
No, I think you agree you're not gonna have any music
No
on
music.
the, no speakers on the roof. But even just that many people up on a roof. But before, so Rosa, just the earlier hours for the roof are not earlier. They're what was there before. It's not earlier than what was there before.
I'm not sure about what was there before. I just know what we discussed at the meeting the other night, because we had originally said that we wanted to do 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week.
Okay. Well, before what they had, and this was before there were all those other tall
Yeah.
buildings around there.
Okay.
It was 12 o'clock Sunday to Wednesday and 2 o'clock Thursday to Saturday with no music. No, it says no music will be played in the in the rooftop bar. So that's what it was before.
You guys agree to closing it at 10?
No,
Well, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, we're saying 12 o'clock. This is still New York too, you know?
Because this is the big issue. For rooftop.
Mhm. You have an operator in front of you who is meeting with the block association and doing all his community outreach and everything else, is agreeing to close at a very reasonable time, is not planning, not having.
I'm just gonna tell you.
It's just it's on the weekend, it's on
No,
Friday and
but
Saturday.
I live in Meatpacking,
Mhm.
and let me just tell you something. We just went through this with some other place.
Mhm.
Absolutely no music on the rooftop and no later than midnight on the rooftop. I mean, and this was someplace over on 14th Street
Mhm.
with nobody living there. I mean, that was their winning argument that made it even be okay to be told, well, that's Meatpacking.
Mhm.
You're a university place surrounded by tall residential buildings and lower ones, but surrounded by this and it for a club, this wasn't even a club, for a club,
Mhm.
that vibe
Mhm.
and everything,
one of
and
the
you're
things-
trying to say that 2 a.m. is okay, because I'm on a rooftop there, surrounded by residences?
Well, we met with all the residents and
No.
we met with quite a few residents.
And they're under the impression that they have no option.
No,
They-
excuse me,
they-
no,
they are under the
no,
impression
no,
that's
no,
What they said.
no.
Maybe you ask the question.
That was not how the
No.
meeting went on Monday night or anything like that. That was never, everything that we discussed was completely in good faith. Nothing was ever discussed about the grandfathering or anything like that. He was the one bringing up Peggy Sue's. I said it might be on the borderline, but that was never
Okay.
discussed.
I'm just gonna bring this over. You can see the picture.
You see it? I know.
Where you are. And that picture. Well, I think the picture speaks itself.
Well, then look at them and play it out again. I can find it. I mean, I'm just gonna, so I would just say, is what you're presenting what we're gonna discuss at business? Or is there any accommodation to be made here, just so I know what we're talking? And because I think you're hearing, the roof is a problem, 4 a.m. is a problem, and you have an inexperienced operator who may run a restaurant very well, but this is a club in New York, this is a club in New York City with no experience in, as was said, in the middle of a bunch of colleges. So taking all that into account, I just want to know exactly what were, and gazillion 311 complaints on this space. So I just want to be clear on what we're discussing in business session, for your bottom line of what your hours are going to be, what your sound is going to be, and all of that.
Okay, so can you give me a few minutes and we'll come right back so I can talk to them? Thank you.
How about, is it going to be like 2 seconds? Another application?
No, take another application.
Okay,
from me.
fine.
Give me a few.
So the next application, is going to be. I'm okay, but Dr.
Cold, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to make a hundred of this? I'm Nora.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. So my name is Alon Kastan and I'm the owner of Blue Stripes in 2017. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm filing a class change application to change my current license from beer and wine to a hard liquor license. Lately, I've been increased demands from my customers to combine the cacao that we do in there with alcohol. So we want to try and give it a shot, as we say. We are not asking to change anything, same hours, same operation, 8 to midnight every day, 7 days a week.
My apologies, because I misread and is why it said 2 AM on the.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got your Tavern wine license, you came to us in 2022. Is there any outside seating? Have you applied to DOT, or do you intend to apply to DOT?
No.
You don't have the sidewalk and no road bed, okay, so, and you're not looking to apply, so there will be no outside.
No.
Okay, and then you have, let me just go, you have, the jazz music,
Yeah.
record background music, and then Fridays and Saturdays, you have unamplified jazz between 6 and 10.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? The rest of the time, no. And you don't have any operable doors and windows, so your doors are closed at all times?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're just looking to have the full alcohol so you can, and how many seats is it?
35 seatings with 47 per minute of occupancy.
Okay. Okay, does anybody from the committee have anything? I'll look while the public speaking of that.
So I stopped by today and I'm wondering, maybe this is for the committee, are benches outside on the sidewalk? Is that count as outdoor seating?
They have.
No. If it's on the window straight, you don't have to have a permit for those.
Not for video.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to. Yeah.
Yeah. No big.
So that's probably unrelated then to our discussion.
Okay, but if then I can easily get rid of it. It's not, it's just there, because I know that there's no permit needed by.
Right. No, it's, and also, it's pretty chilly today.
Sure.
Not all that bad, but the door was wide open, propped open.
In the morning, yeah.
No, that was, let's say 6 o'clock in the evening.
Sometimes people are getting inside and the door is not getting closed, but it's usually closed for the health department purposes too, because we don't need the flight or anything to go inside. But it's closed.
Okay, and then just curious, do you know how long that shed is gonna be, covering the sidewalk?
It's there forever and it stay there forever probably. It's good that we're there too, because in one point it was like a residence on the site. A lot of homeless people were sleeping there, so we create some movement, so we're pushing them away. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the committee or should have members from the public here, so I'll let them come up. Cheryl and Davide?
Question?
Just me speaking.
You can ask questions, and then what we'll do, he's gonna ask questions, we'll let him ask his questions, and we'll let Cheryl speak, and then they'll come back up and answer your questions, so we don't have a back and forth. The closing hours are midnight, 7 days a week.
Okay, question about this live jazz. Drums?
Hang on 1 second, I don't believe there are drums, I think, no.
Is it explicitly stipulated? No drums?
It is not, we can certainly raise that with him and put specifically no percussion.
Kind of request that.
Yes.
And then question, that steel storefront, all of that is non-operable except for the door? Okay, what about the back? What's in the back? Your neighbors to the back?
Have him answer that when he comes up.
And is there a residence directly above? And if so,
Where are they?
Yeah, where are they?
Okay.
That's it. That's all I have. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Cheryl?
The biggest issue I have with this is the request to add one more liquor license to our neighborhood. We have no shortage. There literally is no business plan that anyone can come up with that is additive to the neighborhood well-being with another liquor license. You've got beer and wine. We basically appear to be a coffee shop. And just because some of your patrons would like to have cocktail, in my personal view, and as a neighborhood representative, is not sufficient to justify extending the license to liquor and then having that in place forever for any other establishment that takes that space. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, come on back up. And so, with the music, there are no drums.
No drums.
So that's because I think I find it hard to believe we did not discuss that. Okay, the neighbors in the back and the residents up above, did you speak with them?
Definitely. First of all, above me, it's I think that it's long-term furnish rental. So they are coming and going, and we have no problems with anyone. No issues in the last 2 years since we accepted the wine and beer license. Regarding the liquor license, I disagree with the fact with what my neighbor here is saying, because I think that people don't want to go to a bar. They want to have a drink in a quieter place and not a loud place that plays music all the time. So I think that I think it's gonna be unique. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be nice to be in a place that's not playing music that loud and be able to have a drink and have a talk with friends. So I think that it's gonna be an add to the neighborhood.
Okay, I just for the purposes of everybody, you came in 2019 and for an on-premise license, and we denied it at that time.
Yeah.
And then you came back in 22 for the restaurant wine, which we gave you. So I guess the question I should be asking is what's different from 2019. I mean, we denied it in 2019, so why would we not do the same now?
So basically, we are there. We are a part of the community. We are the community. We build community around us. People, everybody that lives around, they are coming to our establishment, taking a part, and we need to stay in business, and it's not easy. There's a lot of competition. Every day we are waking up in the morning, we're struggling and we're fighting, and we need this help in order to stay in business, not, because, and there's gonna be another ad to the neighborhood soon. I don't know if they know, but the next door neighbor is gonna be another coffee shop. So we're trying to stay in business, and we're asking your help to help us to stay in business for the community. I think that we built an amazing community.
Yeah, I think the coffee shop is nice but it's still, it's a full liquor license, so then it becomes more of a bar than a
It's not
coffee
gonna be a
shop.
bar. We don't want the bar.
Well, bars come in all different shapes and sizes and
And it's gonna be a unique and beautiful one.
All right, does anybody else format?
No, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
oh, that wasn't,
That was it.
which I didn't hear, so, okay, Brian, go ahead.
So the menu in the package is what you have now. There's nothing in here that's going to be with the liquor drinks.
No.
I mean, but so you'll be adding to your menu.
Yeah, a couple of drinks that only combine the cacao itself with liquor. And the food menu, it's gonna be the same food menu. We are not cooking, we are not having a loud machinery there. It's everything, it's very, very simple and easy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it, thank you. Oh.
The rear neighbors would never touch.
He didn't speak.
We have, okay, so basically there's a wall. And, I think that our back is,
But I think
that the back is the back of the.
you don't know them, or you didn't reach out to them, or there's nothing back there, it's not open back there.
No, it's not, it's closed.
Okay.
There's a wall,
Okay.
there's no window.
Okay,
There's a
fine.
wall.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, Remy, come back up.
So I spoke with him outside. As far as the interior goes, with the proposed hours that we gave you, as far as the rooftop goes, closing it at midnight, 7 days a week. Would that eventually, if maybe one day when,
What time?
midnight. With the understanding that if the day ever comes that he encloses it, to come back before you to extend those hours.
It doesn't mean our opinion changes, but he can always
No.
stop somebody from coming back. He can
Yeah.
always- Inside hours stay the same.
Mhm.
And just to be clear, there's no speakers, no music on that roof.
So he's gonna explain that a little bit more. I was saying is upstairs, we're not gonna have any of the speakers, but we.
Let him explain it.
So, we are not having speakers upstairs. I think maybe we should have started with telling you what our concept is, maybe. So, Union Square is thriving with a lot of artists. And the trend now is for more, kind of like a laid back situation. A lot of
Let's see. Is there any patron occupancy of the basement? No. There is a basement, there's no patron occupancy. Okay. Just in case. I think Or no roof? Okay, does anybody have Cormac? Mr. Smith?
Yes, gonna ask you, you weren't thinking about John Coltrane when you named the place Bird, were you? Were you? Because
So-
that would be very,
So, yes, there's a wink to Coltrane, of course, but he spelled bird with a Y, Birdland.
but it's pronounced the same.
Exactly. But no, the name came from a book by John Cage. He wrote a book for the birds. My dad gave me a couple. My dad is a jazz musician, and my mom is a piano teacher. So my dad gave me a book called For the Birds by John Cage about composition when I was a teenager. I still have it on my shelf. And the name Birds came from that, and of course, a wink to John Coltrane, aka the bird. Also, my dad's nickname for me was Crow. You see, like shoot crow. And the nickname for my sister was Chick. Come here, little chick. So therefore, the birds are actually us.
It's an endearment.
Yeah. So this is in a way, this is an homage to my parents. My mom piano still plays piano. They still have a piano in our living room. My dad has a bass in our living room next to each other. So that's really what inspired this spot. So the idea is to create a spot where I'm 50 years old now. I don't go to clubs. I want to go to a bar, have a cocktail at 6 p.m., listen to some music, go home and retire. So that's
Yeah.
the idea of a good time.
One other question though is how will you decide what musicians you're going to be bringing in?
Oh, good question. So we do have music in our place in Brooklyn, Lighthouse. Because I am a connoisseur and admirer of music, I know a lot of jazz musicians in New York. Namely, two is Nitzan Gabrieli, Niv Gabay, and Yoni Ulieski. These are three great musicians that play all over the city, and they are going to be the one who are going to fill up the slots for pianists. So we have a roster of amazing pianists. Some of them play with the New York Philharmonic. Some of them are just your average jazz piano, player at Smalls or any of those things. So, yes, I actually worked at the Blue Note in the year 2000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 4 months. So I met it for more than a few. Yeah.
So I just want to check, I don't see it in the packet, but I just want to ask, outdoor.
There's no room for it, even if you want.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about right now, but at least fairly recently, there was a really ugly ramshackle shed in front of this location. It's excellent. Okay, thank you.
And no operable doors, windows,
No,
nothing, everything's closed at all times?
Yeah, there's the plan in the design, I'm not sure if it's in the drawing, but there's gonna be soundproof curtains all around the glass. We want this place to be, we want the sound to be that good in the place that you can do a live recording event. So I'm bringing Jonathan Porat this week, who's a sound engineer and he helps me to damp the sound and not so the sound is going to be contained in this space.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, that is for the applicants who are here, just to say Chrome Flats was on our agenda strictly as a re-notification. There was a delay in filing on that one, so they just had to re-notify us. And Softa, 263 Bleecker Street was another re-notification. That one, their address on the form said 259, 260 Bleecker, and they needed to change it to just saying 263. So that's that. We have someone here. I'll pick some new business. Did you want to speak?
I do, I just have a complaint.
So, okay, so what you need to do is, write your name down on something just so that okay, I can. Okay. What is your name?
My name is Stephanie. And my last name is Medini, B-A-E-I-N-I.
That's email.
My email is Stephanie,
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks for giving me the effort.
Sure.
made some notes, so I'm gonna look at my notes a little. Anyway, I've lived in my building for 3 years, residential building, and a bar opened up.
Can you say where it is?
Yeah, it's at, the bar is called Bisou Bar. It's at 1126 Avenue. And it's not funny, it's been in the dark. Anyway, it's been terrible. I haven't been able to sleep. They have people out on the street, parties, 35, 40 people outside drinking, smoking outside. They leave the front door open. They have 2 rows of tables. They're blocking the fire escape that hangs down the ladder part. You know, it's blocked by tables and umbrellas. They throw the glass wine bottles out at night in a metal trash can. Rats run across the street. There's broken glass in the morning. There's
Hang on a second.
1126 Avenue. And the zip code is 10013. It's wrong on the internet. And the owner I spoke to, he doesn't care about anything. I mean, he put up a sign that said, to be quiet after I asked him to, but that just, it doesn't mean anything. Anyway, I've called the police several times, of my neighbors. I've recently made some reports to the liquor authority. I actually am a photographer. I've taken videos, I have pictures of all the people out in the street, people out drinking. And the other thing that they do is they don't close at the time they're supposed to close. They're supposed to close at 12 during the week and 1 on the weekend. That seems to mean nothing. They don't pull the gate down. They have people in the bar. Last night they're supposed to close at 12 and people walking out from the bar. And it's just, you know, it's a quality of life issue. I mean, like, you know, it's terrible. And I'm really very upset about it. Anyway, I'm not sure this is the right place. Someone said to go to the community meeting, so I looked up what it is, and so here I am.
And whether it is or not, I'm just glad you came and told us. I remember that we worked on this application a lot, and you like to hear back when people are just going and ignoring everything they promised.
Oh, they totally, you know, they're like, oh, Stephanie, this will be the last party, and it just never ends. They just, even the people who work there, like after closing time, they'll stand out in front of the bar, smoke and talk, you know, loudly, and you can't sleep. My bedroom window faces where we've never had a bar there. I mean, there's a restaurant next door, Lupe's, and they abide by all the rules. They close when they're supposed to close, time they're supposed to close, they leave, you know, but this is a disaster.
The French people, sorry. Yes, one of our.
Which, who,
No, speaking of me.
we have somebody else who's complained about.
Okay.
They wanted like hours to handle.
Oh, I think.
Oh, I know. Remember, she had us like a little, like a champagne place, sort of.
Right, she's the one who was throwing all the stuff out on the street. Remember, we went forever over her sidewalk situation, the French woman.
Keeping all the chairs on the street.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this place was?
Yeah.
You know, what they do is that's another thing, I forgot about that. So they have these big round things and they put the umbrellas in and they just, you know, I picked one up, and I thought, fuck that, I'm just gonna do it again. I can't lift it, it's very heavy, it's like, you know, I don't know what it's made out of, I mean, I could never lift it. They leave them out on the street so that you have to, you know, I mean, it's an eyesore.
She came for the upgrades, which she came, she just wanted to get to the
And
upgrade.
Darlene shut her down.
Yeah.
Is this something I should contact or what?
I told her she goes to the first meeting, she'll let.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name is Darlene.
Well,
I put it in your notes.
Oh, it's my notes.
if you go, to the first, I mean, obviously you've been complaining.
Why have I been complaining? I haven't
No,
been anywhere.
putting in 31.
Yeah.
But for ongoing, on the police departments, on New York City. Seconds. The 2 police officers.
Oh.
They usually host meetings. Some period of times.
Yeah.
If you go into the first precinct.
Yeah.
You can look that up,
Okay,
and it should have information about that. Second one is the precinct itself has a larger monthly meeting except in some
yeah,
where you can raise these components
Okay.
directly. That's a good place.
so the monthly meeting was the first thing about the first precinct?
The NCOs are called.
And it's divided into separate sectors, so you just work in.
But if you just go to the first, Google on the first precinct on their website. you Have the information. And this meeting itself.
And you can always call them and ask.
We've seen. Really, some. This is previously from last year, the,
Yeah.
convincing videos, et cetera. This happened. Great. It's activities on the sidewalk. The complaints that you're making independently, completely consistent.
Right.
With other complaints. But we're not in.
So how can I get this handled? Besides going to the police?
If you have the issue of stipulation, you should get a copy of stipulation.
I'll email you. I have your email address now, so I'll email you. My name is Donna Raftery, so if you see an email that comes in from DL Raftery, that's me. And so, I'll email you the stipulations so that you have them.
Stipulations is their agreement on their liquor license. Now, this is just year one, it's not, permissive.
Right,
So the liquor authority won't be too aggressive to enforce stipulations on the beer and wine, but they might. If you start, you can complain to them, you can call them, you can email them, you can, you're right on the website.
Yeah, that's it. Just Google New York SLA
I made
complaint.
complaints, I've shown them.
Keep doing it.
Okay, the videos, the pictures.
Yeah, you gotta be very specific. When you have a stipulation saying they are operating beyond their business hours.
Okay.
They're serving alcohol, that's the easy one to
Yeah.
enforce.
Right,
Okay, that is the easiest one to enforce. And that's what they're looking for.
okay,
They're looking for enforcement. How do I enforce this stipulation?
okay,
That's the number one.
all right, I'll do that. I'll-
And then they'll send somebody, hopefully they'll send somebody to come and check on it, and they've done it, it's happened many times.
What, take away the liquor license?
So.
Well,
They start finding.
Yeah.
And that's what starts the ball rolling, and then.
With the eventual taking away of the liquor license?
It rarely takes, you have.
But the other thing to remember too is she did come here for that on-premise license. And so if these things are, up at the liquor authority, they will see that if she moves forward at some point to upgrade her license, that will all be in there.
Who is she? I thought the owner was a man. He gave me some.
There was a woman who came to us.
Yeah, well, remember, she had the.
Oh, they are?
Senior partner,
Oh,
the
yeah.
partner, the husband or whatever, the friend.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
It's a non-disclosure.
So the stipulation is very.
yeah,
right? And then on top of that, you need to file complaints.
yeah,
Right, and then if you don't, you get the community report. They send out a blast email,
yeah,
you need to get on that email.
Yeah, yeah.
So that you can then look and see if this license comes up. And at the same time, we do have the body, we have the recently, we do have the ability to call up licenses if things are really bad.
oh, okay,
So, and then we can send a resolution to, we've done that before too. It doesn't always work, but sometimes the word gets to them and they will start enforcing. But you need enforcement, you also keep it up. This person tries to apply for another license in our community.
If it's okay, I can share your email.
yeah. But I wanted for them to be shut down, I can't sleep.
You know what? New York, it's like so hard to like shut down liquor licenses. So what we do, our best thing is we try to resolve it now. Before the license is issued, so that we can get stipulations in, so there can be, at least there can be enforcement.
I mean, I didn't know they were gonna be so bad, I didn't think about that ever.
No, people don't.
Here at the first precinct website, it would be the intent.
Okay.
Showing you, and see.
Great. Good. Okay.
There's a sector D.
Yeah.
So you want these two right here, those just email.
Okay, well, good. Stephanie, I'm just shutting our business, this, and then we'll just take a break for a minute, and then we'll go into our business session. So, you can come.
Sure.
Well, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you for coming and hanging out.
what? I'm trying.
Oh,
Oh, okay, I'll talk to him.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
Just watch it.
Can I take a 10 seconds of privilege to just say something from the bottom of my heart to the audience community? Because I work in a really rough industry where people speak to each other in an extremely rough way. I'm not usually treated well by anyone except members of my direct family. I'm not kidding in the least. I want to thank each one of you. Restored a recently lost faith in humanity. And I feel held, and I'm serious, I've not felt love from strangers like this in a decade.
We love you.
I'm bizarrely emotional right now. I want to express, I'm serious, I live and work in a very rough industry where people basically dog each other out as like for fun. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm saying,
Don't forget, you also set yourself a standard on documenting change in neighborhoods through the spreadsheet.
I know,
Most of you, some of you may, but it really defines and shows the change along the first place.
Yeah.
And its evolution over time, and really, in what happened in a lot of our communities. I wish more people like you did tremendous work.
Yeah.
But you helped show.
I'm coming back, I just gotta get my.
Good.
School.
thanks for coming. Good to see you. Good night. Bye.
Take care.
Thanks for coming.
You can wait and listen if you want. We're gonna be talking about the license.
Oh, yeah?
We're gonna, yeah.
Again, but you don't have to. We
This is out, I mean, this can't go. Yeah,
It's open to the public. Just
Sure, I just did.
E-A-N-I-E.
Yeah.
E-A-D-I-N-R.
At iCloud, at iCloud.
Love to be all one word.
Thank you. I fell at my nephew's wedding in Italy and I broke my wrist and I missed the whole ceremony.
You have to fall down. You went someplace nice doing it.
I don't know, it's terrible. Hello, so what do you?
Oh, good. I'll take it. It's. I got dinner.
So doctors, 3-1 Yankees, 3.
Right, hey, good to me.
And it looks like the card.
I'm not a Mets fan, but I like winning.
The other day, they're not pretty, but they're.
They don't have to be pretty.
They're before the. I think you can-
Good apples, I'll take it. Get it out apples.
Thank you.
These are apples from your,
No, they're good.
From the tree.
yeah, from your tree, right?
Yeah, I don't do anything. I mean,
They just fall. They just fall.
When they get full,
You don't think they come from trees?
What, okay, so what the score is 3-1?
3-1.
oh, we can turn everything.
You're a Knicks fan, what are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not a Mets fan. I'm not a Giants fan.
You like the Knicks? A
Uh,
little bit?
not that much. I'm not a
Oh, hello. Hey,
basketball.
good to see you again.
I'm-
Thanks for helping out with it.
No problem.
I'm a LA.
It's under our
Lakers.
business.
Is the recording still necessary or?
Only because of LeBron.
Oh.
Break it now and start it again. We never do
I
that.
love LeBron.
Well, the Knicks have been like that. They've-
Well, it's interesting. I have, was just at a groundbreaking, because I've been consulting with it. What Earl Monroe, they just did, we went a couple of weeks ago to a groundbreaking. He has a school up in the Bronx.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And there was, I mean, I saw a man who was a commissioner, so very thin, he was not.
What about-
Is he helping?
What about-
Warm out there.
What?
Yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah.
He looked into it, he couldn't
Yeah,
figure it
I
out.
find the switch here.
Yeah, but I like to.
Your doctor's gonna leave you or no?
Yes, thank you. I do. But I see where they're gonna be trading the young man from the Miami Heat. Yeah. Well, people have to learn sometimes when you're working, you can't always say what you feel. Sometimes it comes back to haunt you.
That's why I like coming here. Hey, me, I can do
Yeah.
whatever I want.
That Riley is still in charge in Miami. And don't forget it.
I met him one time. It was at Riley, when he first joined the Heat. He wanted to buy clothes. His kid at the Gap went to work. And I'd never seen anybody just buy that much clothes in a single month.
What do you
bought?
Did you work on commission, I hope?
I was about to say, did you make something on that sale?
No, I was just I was just so surprised he just kept piling clothes on. I'm like, how many kids do you have? Why they need so many parents?
Yeah. He's won a few championships.
Oh, yeah.
And he played for the Lakers.
Did you see the HBO show?
About Pat Riley?
No, they're about Showtime Lakers.
I'm not a big Laker.
But yeah,
no, yeah, I know you're talking about the daughter or the owner, right? That's
a little bit, but there's a young Pat Riley in there played by Adrian Brody.
That's.
Oh, they did a movie.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
They did a limited series for like 2 seasons. That was pretty entertaining, at least.
Yeah, I'm not an LA fan.
Hey.
I don't mind LA, I'll fly through it.
That's why we have choices. I like LeBron only for skill, but philanthropy.
I'm just pushed to the 49ers. I couldn't support the Los Angeles.
No, it's pretty hard. Yeah, San Francisco.
Well, everybody knows that I'm.
There you go. There you go. You're showing your true colors.
Dr. Kaepernick.
Showing your true colors.
Management. Donna, is that something on the floor that fell that might be yours? Yeah.
I mean, it's fine and.
Okay, can we get started?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
No.
Not for trust.
No.
Keyword, is it?
Okay.
Or a private or those are psychotherapy.
Good, Chris. I love that.
What am I doing?
Yes.
Okay. For me.
Most people, $200, $300 an hour.
Hey.
All right, so the first one is, the vote.
I wasn't here for the vote. I came in late. We were here when I got there. I heard some of it, but I would have had the game.
She said, he was. So we should put it more than, if they say they don't.
Okay,
That's typically.
okay, so,
They advertise.
It's something.
Yeah.
You review that.
Don't market and advertise.
I mean, they don't have a full.
Beer, wine, would you like some wine? Right.
No beer, why not? I mean, you could say they're not advertising themselves as a party vote.
You're doing Oktoberfest beer?
I was about to say, but they're not a party group.
No, they're not, I mean, they're tourists.
You can find it.
Right,
That's fine.
right.
Problem. What does that mean?
I mean, I
Got
don't
booze?
think by not, but by not having a full liquor license, it's sort of.
No, you advertise.
It's more important than the music itself.
And I got from our old students that were fine when they were.
It's only that operator instead of face.
Yeah, and I think that I was giving. Yeah. I don't remember which one. It's one, isn't it?
Yeah, it was that.
I'm shaded mention.
Or you just have confirmation bias.
They didn't mention this, but you know, the other thing for these folks is that they. Two parts of the plot, it's really important. You know, from a different. One of the few money generated.
And this one, posting thing. Okay, then the next one was, are we okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, then the next one was from Jane, and we have a minute of order.
It seems, I still don't like the fact that they're independently.
You mean with its own, but you're not really included?
Yeah, I mean, you said it could do it, but. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I just don't like,
I just,
can't operate independently.
and it's also, I still don't feel like, not reacting to, you're doing whatever you say to do, but I don't know how the business is going to work, because the emails to the community.
How did they recommend?
Very much, I know, it was very much they needed to have that roadbed, and, I mean, so they're not.
You have a roadbed on James Street, you only have a red.
Right.
And barely, it's gonna be really tiny by the time.
It's around the
I went and measured it.
Right, because they're right on the corner and then narrow. It's,
It's 10 feet by the time it goes. So.
you know, and I recognize this sort of previously, like, inside of that, and it's not, but, you know, when you look at their, the place directly across from them, across Jane at the other corner. They list their last seating at 10:30, like half hour.
I guess for me, that has been a restaurant for a long time, and those people came with a plan. What bothers me most, I mean, I'm not saying to deny it, it's now here online, but what bothers me is the flippantness of, we'll figure it out, we'll do it, it'll be fun, without a real plan, and this other place is not this. I mean, you're saying it's a similar neighborhood, it's in Midtown, it might be surrounded by huge residential buildings, but it's in Midtown, it opens at 9 in the morning and it closes at 9 at night, it doesn't open at 4 in the afternoon and go till 12 o'clock.
You like, have location, we'll find.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, it doesn't mean it won't work, but I mean, what the neighborhood really needs, like so many places, is, you know, there's a bunch of places when he said, oh, we'll open for brunch during the day, on the weekends, that's the last thing we need on that street. We've got 4 Italian restaurants right there, whatever. I know, but I'm just saying.
The other, they remind us, they ran the numbers, but I was a little bit concerned about the sample thing.
Yeah.
Because that is not a cheap endeavor.
Yeah.
To do properly. And it doesn't sound like there's been a continuous space where any previous work. So that's just, I mean, if they're gonna introduce it, it's still. Appreciate it, much.
How do I say this? You can't
It's
just say
say what it sounds.
can't just say the sound.
Can you say, what was that, what was the national public? It's like in New York. Standard?
Yeah, that's it. No, that is. But
Yeah, it's not-
it's difficult, but you're right.
The only standard I've ever heard besides just saying town.
Well, there is a standard, but, and it was changed, I think. Didn't that get changed? That.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went to the thing, it was, those changes didn't go through, but they were talking about other changes to try to address. Yeah.
Oh, the sound band?
Right.
The sound band that you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But you went to the hearing and you knew who.
Jim Gennaro chaired the committee and I, years ago, we worked together, we didn't belong.
Greeted you by name.
Where they measure the thing wrong, the thing for.
But that's like, I mean, I think that just adequate sound needs to be done, and you mentioned. Right? You know, which is in the ceiling and sure. Visual separation to partial.
Is there anything that we should also look at, any language in their actual, is there any language in their stuff about what they're gonna do last time?
That was brought up.
No, they're just waiting for dominant. Right. They'll do it.
You're right, in the form, they said no,
She blocked.
but they changed it.
And the woman who lives up in the building was saying that it will be reservation only at the tables. But they didn't mean that really.
Do you wanna do that, but you wanna call Al and see what he thinks we should?
I know all this stuff very specifically said it's proprietary.
Yeah.
It only gives us paper copies.
Yeah.
But once he gave us a whole email, Zach was gonna keep it because it had so much information in it. He's like, I'm gonna, and it was one of the ones that he was, I think it was that one on West Street or something. You know, like, we're gonna use it now when he's here for the applicants, we were gonna use it against him. Yeah. He said this here.
It's called cross examination.
What's
It's not true,
so what's that restaurant? West, the one on West Street, remember? The two buildings.
There was the two buildings
Hired
next
by the
door,
residents.
and he was hired by the residents. Westlake. No, it was, it's, guys, I love Westlake. It's,
The highway project?
no,
Before you were born? No.
Or Dennis.
okay, so, yeah, supposed to say no private events and no pop-ups. Okay, is there anything else?
So, I didn't hear what the weekend hours would change, they wanted to do.
They're not changing them now, they want.
That's what they said, yeah.
No, it's not a problem. Have to come back. if we take it out.
At this point, they need like, what, 2 people to operate?
Honestly, they'd be more conveniencing to me if they said they were doing day brunch.
That's exactly, well, that was.
And I went out for a brunch the other day and I went to the place and then like, we don't do till noon.
No. Either, okay, so the next one is on with the 9.
Really the problem is like business.
Okay, and then now we're on to 115 Christopher. Which one? 15 Christopher.
Yeah, so, you know, look, I don't like the these hours in mid-block, but I don't see that there's anything to be done about that in this situation. And I don't like that Sugarman is behind it, and I don't trust him. My opinion of him. I don't see that as being done. Me, otherwise, you look at the, you know, the situation and it would be something that we would approve.
My only note is that Sugarman.
I think that Carter made a good point because we really don't know, well, don't have the breakdown of the prints. Probably should have been.
He's done a lot for my family. I'm like, oh, you're like deeply entrenched. And now you're doing a lot for his family by standing up here as the applicant.
He's done a lot.
Well,
I hope his child will be a man.
I think though that they seem to, because things are a little rough and what they're. Seems that they are addressing.
Yeah.
But we didn't, you know, they're improving it. You know, they did, you know, at the very beginning. Just. Soundproofing, right?
He said they're, yes.
I mean, these are the key
And with the
things.
person upstairs.
They're gonna have security all days.
They're gonna wire those doors.
Yeah. The video of the entryway is in the Google Drive.
Okay.
That they're referring to. They
And
sent it to me and I put it in there.
Although your question about garbage, like,
They're
they're not adequate answers to, because I don't think that there are, anybody there has appropriate legal answers. It seems to me like the garbage situation I built completely.
Oh my God, the garbage.
Yeah, and it's gonna be even worse.
it's gonna be.
It's gonna be even worse, and you start asking, and there's no referee.
I know the S and Y email by heart.
Well, right.
You know, residents, just saying. In bins, Bob, right,
I don't think the issue is trash here. I think the issue is the hours of operation.
We can't.
Well, that's just the point, is if you say we can't, then we can't. Okay, but we can.
I was about to say, I thought we should.
So- Let me finish. I mean, they said we only needed 2 AM.
Yeah.
Okay, but we got somehow have 4 AM because for some reason we don't know. Okay, and so, the board can, if they want to, and they've done it before, decided, even though something was, grandfathered in, or whatever you want to call it, that they can still impose it. They can still impose it. Okay, and so I'm just saying, it's like, okay, you put in the resolution, they said they only needed 2 AM. Okay, they're operating as a restaurant, but somehow they need more.
They never tried to.
I'm just saying, well, okay, you can be a bar and be open until 2 AM as well. Okay, you don't have to be open until 4 AM. So I'm just saying, there's nothing good between 2 AM and 4 AM. It never, ever made sense to have a 4 AM license at this location. Ridiculous that they're in this kind of setting. So I'm just saying. Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like, if we're gonna try to do something, just to say, oh, it's okay because.
Okay.
It's okay because of the SLA's gonna allow. I mean, I don't.
We have so many of these places that have been around, the older gay bars that are part of our community. They've always been there.
This is not an older gay bar. Yeah, it's not.
But it is in the location. This is a common issue, and I'm talking to both some of our owners and residents of Eastville. There are a ton of bars for 1993. It is regularly the way that they dealt. We can be open till 4. Right. So I don't think that this,
in this case,
particular
why
issue.
in this case?
But well, I'm saying, but I didn't hear compelling about Mason. It was about general. And
Well, no,
this is,
tenement building, for it doesn't make any sense to have a bar in that kind of building. It's just ridiculous. But they allowed it many years ago. So now we have an opportunity to actually try to change something. I mean, we're not gonna help the guy who owns who's the tenant and the owner of that space. But at the same time, it's like, I just don't like to punt, that's all. I don't see any reason to punt on this, and that's why.
Well, I think the Sherman connection is a strong argument for not giving them 4 AM.
Just because, oh, that's the way it is. Okay, I mean, look, it's wrong. It was wrong from day one.
Realize.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
We're not shopping.
But there's plenty of other places that I would agree with you.
I just don't. In the time and effort. Without any compelling reasons that. Seems very difficult. Particular issue here, it seems like a difficult one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, it's a one. That's all.
Well, I don't, it's not fun.
Well, it is kind of, it's kind of saying, well, the law's gonna be X, therefore they're gonna run all over us. Even though so if we just have yes to say yes, then, they won't run over us.
Standard that's required.
I agree. So you did a legal, you said legal.
No.
And I understand it,
But
because it's grandfathered in.
No, but if there's a compelling reason, they will put a condition on it.
Don't you think it's compelling that all they want is 2 AM? And now somehow they
But
need
that's
4.
what they said. They said they wanted 4 AM because they might.
I remember.
Because they might have.
I remember having it, and you might answer for 2 AM, but I remember having a great argument for Toad Hall. And we went up there and made a great argument. They said, had complaints, so they wanted to do across the street. And yeah.
Right, and then they posted also.
No, they didn't.
But they have done it too. They also imposed 4 AM license.
But there wasn't not a compelling thing here. I mean, the issues were all at the way.
These people show up at the state liquor authority, just can go. Sorry.
I don't think so. The issues they had, most of the issues they had. Had to do with the guy who's leasing the space and. I.
No. The people that came up here said they had 4 children in the building.
Yeah.
Right, that's what they talked about.
Don't be.
I thought they were talking
The hours is an issue.
They were talking about that.
If you remember for Charles. This was how to do that. And, they said that they would restrict the last time people come in.
Never know.
I mean, this
And this is.
was,
You think it would change?
yeah. I just, as the person, well,
Yeah.
it's not
I don't have to agree with it.
even close. Sure.
Anywhere, if anything, that'll. A chance to show.
She said.
We can't keep holding. Yeah, give them a second chance.
No.
Something we can't keep punishing them for something that. It's ridiculous. Well, are we denying less?
I can't go more.
Neither can I. Started on Thursday.
I mean. Stuff they.
Oh, you need to do that.
Oh.
Said, yeah. No. Just wanted to find out. No, it's very good.
And I said. I didn't even lose and say we were lied to. Which we were.
So,
Why there?
I brought up tangentially, I don't know if you remember, there's another question. That Sugarman said he had no parking.
Yeah.
It turns out.
Right, it's exactly the same scenario. We came to us with the license, we denied it, then somebody new comes in, then they didn't own up the fact that they have to have the letter that says he
You wrote
had no
You wrote the
involvement.
resolution, said no, we thought it's not true that he is the owner. There's an affidavit that said he isn't involved at all. Then we find out,
It's under his hospitality group, and they sat there, and I said, and she said to me yesterday, we did our due diligence, and he is not a principal on it. And I said, I don't understand how all the finances work here, but our qualification was not that he wasn't a principal, it was that he had no involvement whatsoever, other than selling, not still holding the lien, selling. And she said, I wasn't being fair.
Sure, that's what it's like, well, it's a one.
So I think
So,
maybe we need to move on to that.
well, we don't have a.
but that's why I brought up the point that if he is going to be involved in ownership, he needs to come here. And.
The difference between that one and this one is this story. What's the difference?
What's it do?
The other one was 12
And the other one is a restaurant, and the other one was, and the other one is has the same hours that had before. So, I don't know. All the questions? Well, I don't know, we did, that's what we did, what are we saying? Okay, so are we, so deny and left, who's been okay with that for 2 to 4? Okay, so it's 5 to 1 to 1 up. Now, can I just say, what are the stipulations I need to make sure I have on here? I need the soundproofing, the security,
Whatever.
move the car,
Windows.
windows closed.
No patients. Space.
feel like the thing that comes up is that this building is very poorly run.
Yeah.
Communication is not.
Okay, all right, I think so.
Part of the problem, now for space, and by somebody separate managers the other, I know that they're not actually separated states, separated spaces.
Well, we went like this. Okay, next one is DeMolinari, St. George, Greenwich Avenue. Are we doing? Yeah,
The one thing is just whatever.
I'll pull that language. I'll just pull the same language, yeah. Yes, we don't want all the specifics.
Well, those guys, I don't know if you recall, but we were there.
No, I know.
Kept going back and forth, not us here, that took almost a year.
Because the light
No, going back
is a
and
big
forth.
deal.
And everybody.
In our,
Everybody.
budget, light pollution.
Yeah,
It's a big deal.
and yet, you know, and yet, like I said, according to the applicant, they look in their floor plan. When
So
they
it
go
might
into
be
that
because-
interior space, there's no big window. They may have just sealed up the
Okay,
building.
deny and left and just, yes, here.
To the one.
Oh, it's just Bob is public, I think. And
Six,
one, the other one is one is me. Five. And one, so the last one is 5 and 1. Two, we got.
favorite, RemyMidtown.
If anybody wants to just say flat out, no, it's okay by me.
I mean, I would, what troubles me so much about this is the 4 AM. With somebody that has zero experience, and I mean, the 4 AM for someplace that has dancing, DJ, live music, we've got some young kid running this that has zero experience running anything. And it seems to be really a problem.
Like 400 people.
374.
Oh, and to the question about the doors, I have frequently seen the 13th Street door open late.
Yeah.
People hanging out there.
Are you there at 2 AM?
I am, and it's been there sometimes. Now, to be fair, I go to weekly pass there and see it, but I have seen it a few times in the last few years, right?
Well, there were, in the last 2 years, there were over 50 311 complaints. And there were, over the years, other complaints, but I think that's like above.
Yeah, there's a lot of new residents.
But
We heard this application and couple.
yeah, and the last time, I think,
And then people.
we were not,
showed up.
we were not leaving, or we were not going. So the big thing here, though, is that it's never been legalized.
That's what you go.
Issues. And I don't know, it's not necessarily something we talk about. The capital requirement that they started throwing around. Everything in entertainment level music. DJs. DOB problem. CFO that they, whoever couldn't get signed off final for years. That raises a lot of. And it's always something you look at, oh, you can take care of it, you can take care of it. If it was so easy, it would have been.
Oh, yeah, how many times?
Potentially taken care of it, but they're all that. Oh. It's not done yet.
All those windows.
So, and if you look at.
We also talked about, she also, but her response on windows to me was not just like, oh, well, some of this plywood, we're gonna properly sample this window. I didn't hear her say, you know, get technical and be like, we are installing quiet windows.
gap
there'll be
window.
triple glazed.
Well, she would work with the VA.
Yeah.
But he was under pressure.
93 thing or not?
No.
I'm confused.
Well, you know, it.
It's never done this come to.
No,
Never.
but the reason. they were mentioning it could be is because there was a license in one part of it, which technically,
On the second check,
technically, there's an maybe not, I mean, you have to make it.
Well, then, were they,
But they-
bar on the rooftop?
No, but they expanded it.
Did it say that their grandfather didn't have a bar on the rooftop?
No, that's fine. No, that's my point. And we also, they never heard it, called it up to the liquor authority. Licensing it. But I'm not very. I remember the discussions at the Rooftop when that came, and I was okay with it. And spoke to that.
And by the way,
Because they didn't follow. We had another, so yesterday, where we gave the benefit of the doubt, changed our mind. Because we didn't go with the first.
Why don't we ask if they?
well, we just heard about another.
Well, we asked if they had booked, he said, pardon, no.
Well, well, that's the interesting thing. They said, oh, we'll come back if we close it. And it's like, you know, if they close, I'd be fine with it, but you know,
but they can.
our compromise, like, we don't even know Steel or whatever.
Yeah.
But our compromise, when it came back, it was like, instead of 12 and 2, we'll reduce it to 12, 7 days. When we were talking about 10, that didn't feel to me like a lot of movement.
I mean,
You know?
the Google Earth picture, it is like, this is the shortest building in the area. And this is and this is, you know, adopted, this is when Walmart was putting this up. Other things weren't there, it's a little different, you know, and if you go to the space, it is, you know, it's like the walls are higher than this. Whatever. But they weren't supposed to have music, they did all these, you know, all. So that's just.
And if they came back and said, when I said it, a front.
And then he's like, oh, well, what about, we'll do this, and we'll do it, like, I mean. Forget her, the applicant sometimes is just, he will find a way.
We never even came full circle on the TV.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I love to be deaf and I respect her husband. Like he said, he's been away. His confidence that, you know, if we yell for a year, there'll be enforcement around the city noise code, I think is a little optimistic. Right? Particularly because, let me just point this out, it's taking a while to build this out and they open it up. You all read the papers. I have no idea who's gonna be mayor or running this city. I mean,
So the example of this space for that.
Yeah.
Is the place that did that's, I think it's the Pier Chang or something. That space in the back. People that made all the pasta, whatever. I don't know if you remember that. That's the place that had the noise. And they worked city for a year until they forced mechanicals, the noise.
Oh, you can't have done it.
Yeah, and that's where what he was referring.
yeah, I know, but I think that's be a very different situation.
Of course, none of this is different because it's only when they turn.
By the way, is the Pier Chang still open? Yeah.
You can answer that if they have the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have no objection to Pier Chang. I'm just amazed they
I go by
needed that location.
All right, so are we a deny on this one?
Well, if we are,
We need to
is
write-
there anything?
Well, there's a.
I think there's a path.
And that,
Take the roof off.
take the roof off.
Take the roof.
If it's not legal, we don't.
We take the roof off.
And
Well, it is on the CBO.
Yeah, it is on the CBO.
no bar.
But the one thing, and this is, I'll try it more, this space is arranged
And the
in a
sound.
manner that we don't normally see for a large club. And it's in one building, but they're two separate places. But it's the only occupant. But they use it as if it's 3 different places. And use the load.
Yeah. So why don't,
Oh, no, they operate it as one space.
right, that's what I'm saying, so why don't they need one?
Well, usually they do, there are things, but I mean, there's so many issues here, to me, that higher safety issues.
Finance made no sense. Probation to really figure that out. Otherwise, doesn't matter if it's operated as one unit and one operation or 3 separate ones. Calculation for exit. That's 5%.
Well, they just did it separately, which is usually we see it. That's.
Because they would take it into account that. Oh.
That is all taken into account. How many exits and all of those.
But it's a little odd. But they were issued.
I think the board could recommend this location for housing. All of the housing needs.
Okay, so the path is.
Treat you Elizabeth Street.
Well, and remove the group.
Yes,
Sound
it's
group.
Some additional operational.
And they were making
Million
some,
people in a college.
Yeah, no, that's a good point though, that it's like no experience, no.
Well, it's-
No experience with it. check it.
Like the wall, it's not.
they also, by the way,
These are
made,
good.
when we're writing the rego, Donna, it did make some specific promises around the quality of the sound in their
Right.
material. Nobody would hear, nobody would ever,
I like that.
but we can write that tough language in.
Yeah.
Right?
But I would also, the wording on soundproofing is important, is it, you know, the air quotes been done, but it doesn't seem to come along. And, you know, when she was saying there's a 3/4, you know, plywood over the windows, which is the soundproofing, I remember the only other place that I would recall that they closed the windows. The suit. Once they didn't want to do it.
They did it
Ended up closing. They used a couple layers of plywood. It's more affordable, but I've been in
Your
the,
favorite place to build it. Permanent soundproofing of the windows.
Yeah.
They sealed up. They sealed that, they did that with the windows at, members only. So those are windows on the air shaft, so that they could sound.
well, what, in bar 13, I went in the long. No, there's nothing.
Yes. One of the cool things I was in show is inside.
To your point, anybody else, Joseph?
I don't like anything else, but I do go to
Which place is that?
Order in hours.
Two.
Which place is this?
Emilio's, a place around the corner from Emilio's Gelato.
I still don't know what that is. Anyway,
Well, it would have been.
I'm honest. Anyway.
Move on? Yes, we can move on.
Yes.
So that's Remy. Okay, so the next one was, blue stripes.
No drugs.
Well, are we okay with is everybody?
I'll just tell you that the reason why when they came in years ago was there's no kitchen.
Right.
That was what it was all about. And, you know, what we'll end up doing is have a liquor license place with no kitchen. So in a place where if you look at the menu, if it is indeed a wine bar, then sell wine. That's your wine bar. But now they're asking for something more. Now, I mean, they're sympathetic. So.
They're not actually one.
Oh, they are, they operate as a wine bar, right? That's what they said. It's not the menu, it's not the menu.
I've been to that place many times at night. The people are not, it's not a wine bar.
Yeah.
People are getting, you know, chocolate drinks and.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Well, that's what they said on their, it's not in their menu, it's in their application.
That's what they want to put vodka in their chocolate.
That's the point. That's why they want to look like they're basically like Irish coffee.
And you know, it's gonna be there.
And we've encountered this sort of.
Yeah, but they didn't say that.
I'm not, but I'm saying we've encountered
There's, they didn't provide a drink menu for that.
You know.
They're gonna expect.
So are we denying Wes on this?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
No drugs.
Look, if everyone else, so
This was what, I mean, this was.
it's gonna be a bar.
Yeah.
I really didn't like
Very denied.
one way.
I know, but I mean, it's
It will be at some point.
the only thing that seems is not, but nothing has changed.
Right, so you did ask a question about what changed. Yeah. And the answer was part of the community.
Because we,
Yeah.
other place in the other side of the street, that
That place is in, that, the lot, and the authority heard them.
well, that's.
And then changed their
It's the Same thing that's working before them did.
The place next door is, it's, same kind of concept.
So one thing, there was one thing he said that I wouldn't- when he was talking about, we need, you know, whatever, because it's getting harder and harder, and we need to make, because it seemed to be at that point, I don't know if it was just sort of histrionic to sell his point or something like that, but suggesting that the business is struggling and needs the alcohol to go. And my experience has been that never works. If your business is struggling,
That's a good
you know,
point, but then what I.
having a hard
found
time,
out is that-
save it.
Well, the real, I mean, for a lot of, I mean, these guys are what, picking on their 5-year point. So the escalation in the lease, other slight increases, what happens is that we're writing a tech functions. It becomes too complicated to expand what you're doing. You can't raise prices. All that. It gets in catch-22.
They just sell it.
Well,
They sell it like to somebody else. and-
it's also, I think, you know, that may be the price of this location, that is a fairly high rent for this type of business, which is why I think, that, yeah, for sure, and I mean, you know, what. But that's,
It's not our.
no, it's not, but that's right, it's the pressures. Yeah. And that's.
Not-
I mean, he's,
I don't necessarily.
I mean, when they leave.
Yeah, or they'll sell it to somebody else.
Yeah. Same thing happened.
well, is there a way I could write this that makes it, you know?
I don't think that they will. Be a market policy change. Us, but ours change. And that's what will be.
So, in other words, no, but we could stipulate that, what it is then the public interested because of the earlier hours. Right?
And it's method of operation.
And because of the
Really,
method of operation.
It's not even just the coffee shop, it's that whole.
Focused on the chocolateria and coffee thing. that this is why it's public interest, because at least then we're going to point to later on someone that wants to market it.
So you're saying that they increased their hours?
No.
No, they have not, but that will be the next.
That'll be the next, where they'll sell to somebody else.
Oh,
That's not somebody else who wants.
so is anybody suggesting that if we ask them to reduce their hours to 10 p.m.?
But we didn't ask them.
I don't have a problem with that. It's just more of what.
And I guess nobody was here complaining. I mean, that's the thing. Why?
Well,
Right.
you know, the reason being that when he said we're a community, I mean, it's true, like, they're well liked on the block and things.
So I think, I mean, then I think the thing is to just explain it. We're okay.
Right, and then we're okay with the liquor license for this method of operation at
unique
these
offering.
hours. But it because like if we make it, spell it out really explicitly, that this. When did they do?
Not too.
I could-
Yeah.
There we go.
Somebody goes back, I'll get it right back to you.
Bird is the word.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to go.
I was gonna say.
I think it's cool.
Have committee.
Yeah.
It's small.
I didn't know.
Their chicken dish is $50. Steak
Yeah.
is
They look so familiar. I know
I'm
that.
trying to say the guy. was-
Yeah, but name the thing.
Like,
Name it is still the place.
Okay, so we just, we deny
Yes,
them.
Only the client approach to come in.
Great.
All right.
Yeah, it's all.
Any new business?
No new business.
Okay.
I'm so glad though that woman came to tell us about these.
Buona noche.
she
I
called
really
me to the
want-
bathroom and she said, I'm not leaving until I get to the beach. And I was like,
Double later with the arm.
Yeah. But I remember that place, like they came and I was like, God, that
Just the
pitch, I was
one
like,
thing has
this sounds so,
the
this sounds so wonderful. I thought this should be a great place. And we feel. Oh, this place, no. Yeah, the conversation, and even then, when we were doing it, people were saying, because she's the one presenting.
thank you for coming.
Thank God. He could never come and see us because he was in Paris or whatever, right? They were saying, oh, but he's
That is
there.
recording stop, right? Recording
Yeah, that's,
done.
So there are people, but he's there and he's been fighting with people.